What is going on, guys? Thank you so very much for joining us right here on Thursday night. It is TNT episode 113 for your Thursday, September 25th, 2025. I am your host, JD from New York. As always, joined by the one and only. And if he could give the Mets a grading of his own this season, it would definitely be below a C. The Solomon. So what's going on, brother?
Yeah, the less said about that, the better. So why don't we just avoid that together? I really have no interest in dwelling upon the negative here.
Yeah, I know, man. I got to get my kicks in, man, because my season sucks. My team, the Braves actually won 9 in a row before they lost to the Nationals the other night. And I said to myself, where was this team all year? And you want to win games now since you're mathematically eliminated from the playoffs, man. So thanks for coming.
Yeah, well, on our end, we went through this period earlier in the season where we were like world beaters. And we had a really good feeling about, where everything was going. And now the realization is set in that we have been shittier for longer than we were good. Yeah. So it was a fluke is what it was.
Well, I think as of today, I looked at my MLB app. You guys are mathematically still in the wild card right now by a half a game, correct?
Technically. But isn't that a team that deserves to go to the playoffs? I mean, that's just the reality of it. They don't deserve it.
Now, are you the type of guy when the Mets get eliminated from a season or playoffs and the Yankees are still in, do you root for the hometown team or no?
No.
No, okay.
No. I mean, when my team is out, I still pay attention to what's going on. I'll try to catch some of the games if I can. It's hard given what we do because we're streaming pretty much every night. And of course, most of these games are in prime time, but I wouldn't say I'm rooting for anyone else or the Yankees or whatever. I really don't give a shit. I'm not invested just because, the initials might still be NY. Doesn't really mean much to me.
Yeah. When my team is gone, I don't really watch a game. I won't watch a playoff game at all.
You won't watch at all?
No, I don't care.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you're not really a baseball fan. You're a Braves fan.
I'm a Braves fan. I'm a baseball fan, but
you know what you are? You're like one of these people that are like, I'm not a wrestling fan. I'm a WWE fan.
Enjoy all MLB, bro. Okay? That's what you got to be.
Remember that guy years ago? It was the Hulu commercial for WWE Raw. Do you remember this? The guy in the barbershop?
No.
And he was getting the WWE logo carved. We'll say carved
like
into the side of into the side of his head. He had an accent. I don't remember his name, but he was talking about how much he loves WWE, and he had it, I think, tattooed on him somewhere. And then he was getting, maybe that's what it was. Maybe it wasn't in the hair. Maybe it was a tattoo. He had a WWE logo tattooed on his body, and he goes, "Don't get it twisted. I'm not a wrestling fan. I'm a WWE fan." And I'm like, rubbing my temples like Bailey on Raw every time I would see this commercial because it would just drive me nuts. See, but that's what you are.
Yeah, I guess I'm just a little salty. My team didn't play as good as everybody else. But as long as the Phillies get eliminated, I don't care. I'll watch for that.
Oh, yeah, of course.
That's what I'll watch for. I'm glad you guys are watching us tonight, man. I apologize for the lack of Tuesday this week, but we'll be back to normal schedule next week. We had some real life things going on. I was deathly ill. Solomon had some family obligations to attend to, and all is good there. And we are with you here tonight on Thursday. So thank you guys for joining us here on episode 113. We have a lot to go over. I know there's been a lot of talk about this ESPN grading WrestlePalooza deal, which we'll definitely get into. We'll talk some WrestlePalooza. We'll talk All Out. We'll talk the Fallout show from Dynamite, which... I sound like a broken record. Me and Jesse don't really like Dynamite as much anymore. I don't know what the fuck's going on over there. Very, very difficult to cherry pick what to like and what not to like over there. But we'll talk about that. And we have AJ Styles and John Cena news. And I have a lot to say personally on that. We'll get Jason's take on that as well, obviously. And we have a bunch of news and rumors that we'll catch you up on right here on Thursday night. So make sure you guys follow us on social media. YouTube, everything you need for our socials and YouTube is linked down below in the description. If you guys want to get in on the support, the super chats are the best way to do that. Make sure you get them on in. We got a lot of people in here so far right now. We got 1,000 people in climbing, so thank you very much. Get them on in. It's the best way to support And we'll hang out at the end of the show with any questions, comments, and concerns. Hit that thumbs up. 1,000 likes should be the goal minimum. We hit it every single stream. And please leave a comment down below. Also helps us out in the algorithm. And we love being in the algorithm. All right, man. I'll leave it up to you. I know it's been a long week. Fans have waited for our arrival here for TNT. Where do you want to go? What do you want to talk about?
Well, I think before it gets even later in the week, we should probably just tackle WrestlePalooza and the goings-on of this past weekend.
Sure, WrestlePalooza. What do you want to start with? You want to start with the ESPN
I don't
story?
want to start anywhere, but I know we really have to talk about it, at least address it, so we may as well.
Yeah, I know. I watched the show, obviously. We both covered the show on our platforms. I liked the show, but it was a like in a sense of like, I accepted it for what it was. I expected a lot more. I expected WWE to come out, especially with the verbiage that they used. And Mark Shapiro said, "Oh, we want to make this brand as a big deal, such as SummerSlam and WrestleMania." And he's using these buzzwords, and it's on ESPN. I thought it would just be bigger. And Triple H comes out and makes himself look like a stupid idiot because he says there's going to be a ton of surprises and there's going to be excitement and it's going to be this and that. Spectacle, whatever the fuck he used. And all we got as far as surprises were nothing creatively. Pat McAfee shows up because he's an Indianapolis guy, and Stephanie McMahon, his wife, is being inducted into the Hall of Fame next year. So we got two Levesques going back-to-back years. So if he thinks that's the surprise that we, the fans, want, I think him and the rest of the creative team is a little tone-deaf.
Oh, you got The Undertaker, though.
That's
your big surprise.
Yeah, it's fine. Undertaker, I mean, we may be seeing more of him, unfortunately, going into Saudi. But I enjoyed it for what it was, and the mixed tag team match was good. I didn't find it to be perfect, but I enjoyed myself. I had a fun time with it. I thought the Bronze versus the Usos tag team match was good. That's nothing blow away. I mean, it's the same thing we've seen on Monday Night Raw for the last 2.5 months. And I enjoyed Io and Stephanie Vaquera. I thought that was a very good match. Probably the best match in the entire night, in my honest opinion.
I don't think you need to say probably. I mean, it was the highlight of the show.
But if you look at the totality of the show, and I know a lot of people were making comparisons to All Out, which I was, I watched, I paid for it. I enjoyed some of the things that we were given on that show. I didn't find it to be like great like everybody else was saying it was. I'm not in any position to compare the shows because I just think it's just impossible to compare the shows. I mean, one show had better wrestling, the other did not. So it's like, well, I don't know what else you guys want me to really elaborate on.
No, I mean, it's not apples to apples because one show also had 5 matches and the other one had 34. So, I mean, there's a difference between the two of them. But that being said, when the night was over or the weekend was over, just objectively,
yes,
All Out was the better show.
Sure.
That doesn't mean that it was the best All Out that AEW has ever done. And there was definitely stuff on that show that I was not fond of. But when I looked back at the two shows, I said, this went pretty much the way that I expected it to go. Because when they first announced this, that they were going to run this event the same weekend as All Out, we got the counter programming, and they're going to do this thing called WrestlePalooza, whatever the hell that is. I said, All Out is probably going to be the better show. Like, I mean, I was saying that even then, because of the way they load up these shows with, tons of great matches. So even though it wasn't the best AEW show of the year or anything like that, just objectively, All Out was a better show. And my goodness, you should have seen the comments that I got for making that statement. I think people all week, for various reasons, have been losing their minds. And it was one of those weeks where it felt like the members of this community of which we are part were off their meds. That's what it felt like to me, right? This entire week. It just felt like people, they misplaced their pills. Something was going on here. Something's in the water. I don't know what it is.
Apparently what you're saying is you got a check coming to you from Stamford, Connecticut, right?
I got checks apparently coming to me from every promotion in existence. I just haven't actually physically seen them yet. So I'm still waiting for them to arrive. But yeah, that's another thing. Some of the comments that I've gotten this week, on the one hand, it's like, glazing Triple H, and on the other hand, I'm glazing Tony Khan. It's like, I mean, guys, I can only glaze one at a time here. You got to make up your mind. Which one is it? So yeah, it's hard to take comments like that seriously. It just makes me think I must be doing something right when you're getting it from both sides. But yes, it is amazing how the tribalism exploded this week. And I figured it would, just the two shows, they weren't directly head to head, but just running the same weekend. You knew there was going to be a lot of that. But yeah, I mean, that was the statement that I made, that All Out, if I was to compare my viewing experience of each, was better than WrestlePalooza. Neither show blew us out of the water, though.
No.
I mean, this was not exactly a weekend where we're going to look back and go, we got a couple of show of the year contenders in that weekend in September. No, we didn't. But that being said, I just enjoyed more about All Out than I did WrestlePalooza. And there were some things about All Out, like I said, that I did not like. But there was enough going on the show that it sort of superseded that. But we can get into that.
Well, yeah, I mean, hopefully that was the case. After 5 hours, I'm sure that you got to find something to enjoy there. But yeah, I said the same thing. You can't compare 13 matches to 5 matches. It's just unrealistic. And a lot of the tribalism was very disgusting this past weekend. But WrestlePalooza, it reminded me of the WWE Raw on Netflix show where, they hyped it up as the biggest fucking thing ever. And they had that little fan meetup and that little press conference at the WWE headquarters. And they invited press and fans and all this thing. And they were hyping it up like it was going to be the biggest thing ever. And then I felt incredibly let down by that show. And there was a lot to just dislike about that show. I felt like this was the same deal. And I hate that Triple H kind of puts himself in this position where it feels like a setup show until the next show. Like, if you're going to hype something up, then fucking deliver on what you're promising on. Like, I don't understand what the wait is. You waited all year to give us these types of matches. AJ Lee's back, Brock Lesnar's back. You got ESPN. Load the motherfucker up and give me some pro wrestling and give me what you do best, and that's tell stories. I felt like you just used the show as a setup for Crown Jewel, and Crown Jewel is actually shaping up to be 10 times the show that this fucking show was. I don't understand why he does that. And it's very infuriating as a fan. I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's this whole booking philosophy. Everything is a setup to something else. I mean, there's long-term booking and long-term storytelling, and then there's just dragging things out for so long, or doing something like what you just mentioned, where after a while it just gets boring. It's like, all right, you can only build so much until you have to give people something. And it just feels like that's been his booking philosophy for a while now. And I think a lot of people have woken up to that. They've gotten tired of it because what does he do more often than not? Right? I remember saying this last year. He plays it safe.
Yeah.
And plays it safe because he knows he can, because business is still hot, right? And they're filling in the buildings, and it's like, well, we'll give them just enough and we'll save some for later on. And then when you get there later on, it's like, well, we'll save a little bit more for the next one, and then we'll save a little bit. And it's like, it just wears you down after a while. So it would be a good idea. I understand a company wants to hype up their show. I get it. But sometimes they overdo it on the hyperbole, and then you get a show like this. And then you wonder why people are coming out of the show disappointed and underwhelmed by what you gave them.
Yeah, speaking of that, we woke up on Monday morning following the nonsense that happened over the weekend, comparing both shows and the tribalism that occurred. ESPN, Andres Hale, who has been covering MMA, boxing, and pro wrestling on ESPN's website for a few years now. This is not the first time that ESPN has put out grade lettering for a WWE show. Apparently on Monday, we saw Andres Hale going viral, and he graded WrestlePalooza a C. Now, I made a specific video on this on Monday because I just felt like it was too good not to. And I actually agreed with a lot of what he had to say. And WrestleVotes talked about this today. And apparently, WrestleVotes reported that there are people within WWE who were, quote unquote, stunned that ESPN published an article giving the company's first ever PLE on the platform a C grade. The report states that people within WWE were openly wondering why the Sports and Entertainment Network would want the online stigma of a negative review for what they considered a fairly ordinary or fairly standard WWE event. The ESPN review, which became a major topic of conversation on social media, stated that the show fell a little short of expectations and that the match between Stephanie Vaquer and Io Sky was the highlight that saved it from an even lower grade. The lukewarm reception from ESPN was in contrast to the internal feeling within WWE, where the show was reportedly viewed as solid, if not spectacular. The situation was further commented on by AEW star Ricochet, who took to social media to praise his own company's All Out event, which took place the same day, to mock WWE for being on a sports network after positioning itself as sports entertainment. Well, he's an idiot. So, I mean, I don't know why he's even bothering going out there and saying that. But
he's trying to get a rise out of people, and it worked.
Yeah, sure.
He knows what he's doing.
I guess. Yeah, Tony allows him to do that as well. But fell a little short of expectations, Jason. I mean, from what Russell Votes reported here and from what Andre Sale put in that review, I mean, I'm personally glad that WWE felt offended by that, being now that they're an ESPN partner. And I hope that they don't stop any of the reviewing and the honest, upfront criticisms of this, because it did fall short of expectations and it did feel fairly ordinary and fairly standard. And I don't know where WWE gets saying that it was solid, if not spectacular. What the fuck was spectacular about it? There was nothing spectacular about that show.
Well, no, I mean, didn't you see all the pyro? I mean, they treated it like it was this major event. So to them, they had all the spectacle that you could possibly want, and you had all the big names on there, and AJ Lee was back. It's a spectacular event. I'm not shocked if that's how they feel. But look, I mean, it was refreshing to see. Again, this appeared on the main page. It's not like ESPN as a company voted to give WrestlePalooza a C. They have somebody writing on their behalf, and their work appeared on the main page, and this person gave the show a C, which sounds about right. And so it was refreshing to see, but it was very interesting, and in particular JBL. I think this really just says it all, because JBL was on his podcast, which isn't even really his podcast, but now it kind of is, because Bruce Pritchard apparently doesn't want to come back to work on it, and he's addressing this whole situation of the C letter grade, and he doesn't understand it because WWE just entered into this major partnership. And basically he flat out said that even if you, let's say the writer in this case, even if you feel like this show deserved the C, basically you should lie and give it an A. This is what we're dealing with here. And that's probably the same way people in WWE feel as well. They look at it differently. They look at it's a business relationship. Meanwhile, you have one of the executives of ESPN at some event last week going out there and explaining that, no, there's going to be a separation of church and state here, and we want people to, independent, fair coverage. That's not going to change. Well, you can't have both things, right? You either have the separation of church and state and you let these people give their honest opinions, or you don't. And everything is just part of the overall business relationship, and it's all fake and phony bullshit. You can't have it both ways. If JBL had his way, we know which way he would go. But I just laughed. I'm like, he's saying the quiet part out loud, because that's how the people in WWE feel.
I don't know. I don't understand, like, why he's allowed to go out and say that's not even an opinion. That's just straight fucking stupidity, in my opinion. It's
stupidity, but you know what? Good for him for being honest. At least he's laying it out there. Look, even if you didn't like the show, pretend you did.
I don't know who takes anything from someone like that in a show like that and puts any validity behind it. I mean, if you're ESPN and you're paying $325 million a year, $1.7 billion for WWE PLEs, I think you have a right to fucking grade it however you want if you feel like it felt fairly ordinary. So hopefully they continue to tell WWE that, hey, this feels fairly ordinary. We're going to need to up the quality of this. Because WWE has made it blatantly known. Triple H and Nick Khan have made it blatantly known. They don't give a fuck what we content creators think, what fans on social media think. If this gets through to them in any way, shape, or form and holds them accountable for their subpar shows, which is being felt all across social media through most of 2025, I hope that this turns them into a better product. AEW is not turning them into a better product. They don't give a fuck about them. If Tony Khan actually got his head out of his asshole and made some better television and actually rivaled WWE creatively, maybe that stepped their game up. WWE doesn't have to step their game up. AEW's failing creatively. They got billions and billions and billions of dollars coming in. Who legitimately is their competition? They have no competition right now. So if ESPN is going to ruffle their feathers by grading them a C, I hope that they continue to grade them a C. Because that's the only way that's going to get them to do anything as far as changing the product for the better. And I said this, Jason, I don't know how you feel about this. Back in the day when we had to sit through the fucking garbage that Vince McMahon was giving us, and Vince was, still was a publicly traded company, but it was Vince's administration, Johnny Laurinaitis and Bruce Pritchard and all his fucking cronies. I felt like when we voiced our opinion on social media and things were affected via the attendance and the reaction and the online reaction to the shows that they were putting out, I felt like when we were just overly negative and critical in abundance, I felt like we had a more opportunistic part in just making the change that we needed for the company. And they would maybe listen to us. Not all the time, but we get a change here, there, or there, and a little drop of change. But now with Triple H, I feel like the more we complain, I feel like the more he shuts his ears off to us. And I feel like with TKO now in charge, the more we say that the shows suck and the shows aren't really delivering the way that they used to, I don't think we have a chance for change at all. So I don't know how you feel about that. I feel like we actually had a chance then, and I feel like we have absolutely no chance now.
I mean, he kind of said it himself. I mean, he did that interview earlier this year around WrestleMania time where it was something to the effect of just shut up and enjoy the show. And he gave that dumb movie analogy. I wish I could remember exactly what he said, but I just laughed when he said it. And it's like, this is how he
they make movies. They make movies on the sport. That's what they do.
No, but it was something to the effect of, I don't go to a movie and prejudge it before I watch it and then critique it. It was something about critiquing things. You could tell it gets under his skin. And his basic message was just shut up and enjoy. It's like The Rock. Shut up and enjoy the ride, right? That's their mantra. So they don't like it when people, say something that they don't think jives with how great they think the product is. As far as affecting change, as long as they're selling tickets, they have no incentive to change anything. They're charging these exorbitant prices. They're moving tickets, right? You got WrestleMania going back to Vegas. Unless it really hits them between the eyes, it's not going to make much of a difference, which is where the ESPN thing could be interesting. Because if you have people who are writing on behalf of ESPN, and they really do allow them to be objective and just give your honest opinions. And if they have another show like WrestlePalooza or worse, let's say they have a bad night, somebody writing for ESPN covering this shit doesn't like the show, gives it a D next time. For all the times that Triple H said, we don't pay attention to the noise, right? We focus on the positive and not the negative. The IWC and the podcasters and the critiquers and the reviewers, we don't really pay attention to them. Well, if you have some of those people who are actually writing on behalf of ESPN and ESPN sees that, well, you best be sure Triple H is going to have to start paying attention. So to your point, yes, if this in any way, shape, or form motivates them to, say make changes, but just approach these shows in a different way and maybe not play it as safe all the time and maybe think outside the box, great. That's a positive thing. That may be the best that we can hope for. Because they're in their own little bubble. They're going to do what they're going to do. Like you said, it's hard to break through that. But if this helps in that regard, then hey, I'm all for it.
Well, John Cena and Brock Lesnar opened the show on Saturday night. And, I know a lot of people weren't happy coming in. A lot of people weren't happy to see Brock Lesnar at the end of SummerSlam. We didn't really get any solid explanation as to why he wanted to ruin John Cena's retirement run and just end it early. We got some smidgen of an explanation from Lesnar, but it wasn't really anything overly elaborate. But we got the match on Saturday night, and a lot of people ended up being disappointed by the 9-minute affair that we got to open the show. Now, they opened the show with it because I just felt like it was ESPN propaganda narrative. Let's get the ex-UFC fighter on ESPN and the new partnership and start the show off with this star-studded match between Lesnar and John Cena. Nobody cared about it. I went into it expecting exactly what we usually get from Lesnar, so I was not overly surprised. It went 9 minutes, and it was a total destruction of John Cena.
Yeah, well, I know you defended it, and
creatively,
also,
yes.
And as far as why it didn't close the show, I think it's pretty apparent now that we've seen the match why it didn't close the show, which would have made it far worse if they would have ended the show with that. As it is, hindsight being 2020, they should have closed either with the women's championship match or the mixed tag. The mixed tag would have made the most sense, even more than Cody and Drew.
Yeah,
because Cody and Drew, I mean, we'll talk about it. But as far as Lesnar and Cena, when I saw it, I think the thing that really kind of offended me the most was just the laziness of it. Because effectively what we got was, it really was a rehash version of something that we got that actually was quite great the way they did it 11 years ago. And they gave us an inferior version of that here. And so when it's over, the only conclusion that you could possibly come to is that, well, we just found out who John Cena's final opponent is going to be in December on Saturday night's main event. And boy, does that suck. Because a lot of people, I didn't hear a lot of people clamoring for John Cena versus Brock Lesnar, right? Before Brock came back. Nobody was even thinking about it. And nobody was clamoring for it. They were coming up with all kinds of names, maybe past names that he's wrestled, but even some names he's never worked with before. And then Brock comes back and they do the match. And it's SummerSlam 2014 all over again. His own father, Cena's own father, did an interview and called it a squash. I didn't even call it a squash because at least he got some offense in. His own father is like, it was a squash. And he wasn't fond of it either. But they do this in just the laziest fucking way possible. Imagine the people who spent God knows how much money sitting in those first 5 rows, what they must have been thinking having paid to see this. And then the match is over and you're thinking, well, we're getting Cena and Lesnar again, but now we get these reports that are coming out. And I know bodyslam.net put some stuff out, and Fightful, and I don't recall offhand exactly where this particular report came from. I believe it was Bodyslam. That the plan, supposedly, believe it when I see it, is that was it for Cena and Lesnar. And Brock Lesnar is not planned to be John Cena's final opponent in December. That was it. There is no rematch plan. I mean, I suppose it's possible they end up maybe in War Games together, but the belief is that that was the one and only John Cena Brock Lesnar match. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that, oh, I'm so disappointed, man. They had to finish the story, right? If they're not going to go back to Cena and Lesnar, great, because they shouldn't. No one is asking for this to be run back 2 or 3 times. But that makes it even worse, what we saw last weekend. Because if there was no more matches between Brock Lesnar and John Cena, how do you justify creatively, as I know you creatively said that you were in favor of what they did, but does that change your mind at all if, in fact, that was the only match we're going to get between the two? Because I would love to hear the creative justification for what we saw if that was it for John Cena and Brock Lesnar.
Well, when the report came out, it obviously changed my mind a little bit on what I originally said on Saturday. And what I originally said Saturday is a lot of people were complaining that the match was a squash. And I think everybody had it in their mind that this was going to be run back again in Perth. And that Cena was going to be on the shelf and Lesnar was going to call Cena out. He was going to show up in Perth and we get the win for Cena in Australia. And then we get both of them in War Games because Lesnar is going to be loosely tied with the Vision and Paul Heyman. Now that this report came out and the match is not taking place again for a second time, I look at it a little differently and I ask myself, why the fuck was the match even booked to begin with? Like, I don't understand. And additionally, if this was going to be the only match, why did you put so little effort into it after what we've seen Cena do against Logan Paul, Cody Rhodes, and Sami Zayn? How are you going to look at the fan base and think that they're going to want to see this and accept this on this major ESPN debut for this new concept? This goes 9 minutes, and John Cena wrestled collectively, all 3 of those guys, over an hour. Like, I don't understand why you put so little effort into this and expected people to accept it.
But this is what WWE has done by and large with this retirement tour. I mean, they have not put in the maximum effort, and that to me, that's what blows my mind the most. And the postmortem on this retirement run, when we look back on it, and John Cena comments, maybe John Cena loves it. Who knows? Maybe he'll do interviews next year and say it went exactly the way I wanted it to. I tend to think that's not what's going to happen. But how is it that you come into a retirement tour that you knew about months and months in advance for someone that everybody in that company calls the greatest of all time? It's part of his ring introduction, right? He's the greatest of all time, according to these people in WWE. And he's so great that they put in the bare minimum effort, it seems, to plan out what his final year was going to look like. And this goes all the way back to the beginning of the year and the stuff that we learned about, with The Rock and what are we going to do at Elimination Chamber? And hey, Triple H pitches the idea, why doesn't Cena go heel? It's like, you didn't have a plan for this to begin with? You're just coming up with this on the fly?
No, bro, the only plan they had was the 36 different fucking colored t-shirts they had for the 36 different cities he was going to appear in. That's it.
And that's what's so unbelievable about it to me, is that of all the people, you've got this gold mine here, right? It's his retirement year. You can put together, you can map out a whole plan from January to December. That shit should have been mapped out in the fall of last year. And just watching what they've done, there's been some good, there's been some bad, but it has been just a horrendously planned out final year for someone that they consider to be the GOAT in their company. And so it almost feels like now they're course correcting, in these last, what does he have left? 3 matches, maybe 4, I think 3, right? He doesn't have that many matches left.
He's got 5 dates left. Who knows if he's going to wrestle on those 2 Raw shows from Boston and New York? We don't know.
Let's assume he wrestles on one of those shows. Okay, so that you have that one, you have Perth, you have Survivor Series, and then Saturday night's main event. So that's 4. We're probably looking at 4, and that's it. So yeah, I hope they do course correct, and I hope we get some great stuff like we know we're going to get in Perth, and they can really stick the landing, right? That would be great. But it doesn't change what has happened from January until now. And how badly that this was bungled. And now there's talk about other people, potentially retiring next year. And it's like, oh, well, will this person get a retirement tour? Will that person get? I hope not. If it's the same people booking that person's retirement tour that booked this one, I sure hope not.
Yeah, it's
ridiculous.
It's infuriating. It's infuriating.
It's ridiculous how they didn't have a solid plan that they could stick to for this guy. Get people in a room together months in advance. Okay, this is it. We only get one shot at this. Remember WWE Unreal, that one episode where Triple H and Cena are talking? Man, we'd have to really fuck this up, right? If we would have to really bungle this to fuck up this retirement tour.
Oh, they fucked it up all right.
Yeah. Yeah, we'd have to try really hard.
As soon as he uttered the words, we're going to build this thing around Travis Scott, I knew we were in for a fucking long road, man. Holy shit.
Yeah, we'd have to try really hard to fuck this up.
Ridiculous. Now, according to Dave Meltzer, believe it or not, chat, this is laughable. This is comedy. John Cena made the call to lose to Brock Lesnar. Now, according to John Cena, he doesn't make the call on anything. They just line him up and he takes him out. That's basically what he said.
He says it all the time. He goes, I don't lobby for anything. I don't do any of that. I don't politic. I don't lobby. I just show up and, I do what I'm told.
He said, yeah. He said it was Cena's call to lose the match. In such fashion, it was largely Cena's call, rooted in him wanting to elevate other talents as his legendary career comes to a close, says Meltzer.
Wait. Hold on. Wait. Elevate other talent in terms of him losing at WrestlePalooza?
To Brock Lesnar, yeah.
I see. Yeah. Well, that's a good thing Brock was elevated then, I guess, in that match. I don't think he was elevated enough.
I don't know. That's what Meltzer says. He goes on to say, there's no plan for a rematch. I don't want to say it was John Cena's idea, but what I was basically told is John is very unselfish, and he knows he's on the way out. He wants to make people. He wants to make big stars. So he felt like this was the call, and that was the call he made, says Meltzer.
Well, you know what the problem, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but there are times where this is true. This is one of those times where I wish he wasn't so unselfish. If ever there was a time for John Cena to not be unselfish, it was this year.
Yeah, then there was another report, though, that the original plan was Cena winning the day of, and then all of a sudden, before the show went live on ESPN, they had flipped the planned winner to Brock Lesnar.
Which just goes to the point that if that's true,
yeah,
and that's hard for me to wrap my head around, because I would love to know what the reasoning was for that. But let's say it's true.
It's another Unreal episode. That's what it's going to be.
It goes to the point I just made. How is this stuff not locked down where even the day of they're changing things and they're altering this and they're altering that and they're making it worse?
I don't know, bro. Is Lesnar allergic? Is Lesnar allergic to going 15 minutes?
Dude, he was purple within 2.5 minutes of that match starting. Cena, within the first 2 minutes of the match, Cena had welts all over his body just from the few moves that Lesnar had done to him. And Brock was already turning a cool shade of purple. And the thing is, Brock is Brock. So
he looked unbelievable. He looked better than I've ever seen him, I think.
As big as ever. I mean, he looks like a modern day Viking. But the thing with Brock is, I gave up a long time ago on him doing more than just Suplex City. Because we know he's got it in him. He's a great wrestler, right? NCAA champion. Paul Heyman said it on Saturday. But we haven't seen that version of Brock Lesnar since he came back in 2012. That version of Brock Lesnar died in 2004 when he left for the first time. Because we know he's got it in him to actually wrestle a match and do more than that. But he is a special attraction. And so he and they, I guess, feel like none of that is necessary. We don't have to see him doing submission holds. We don't have to see him doing anything but what we see him doing. And it's a formula that can work. It's a formula that they've already used with John Cena, and they did it again, only it was worse. It wasn't as good as what they did in 2014, when it actually made sense, frankly, to do that. Because if you remember 2014, what else happened in 2014 with Brock Lesnar?
He beat the streak.
He beat the streak. So if you're going to have somebody beat the streak, and Cena himself said this. Cena was on, I don't remember what show. He might have been in, maybe it was Sirius XM Studios. But years ago, he was in studio for an interview. He was talking about this. And do you know how that squash came about at SummerSlam that year? He says he's in the back with Brock. And Brock says, hey, I had dinner last night with Steve Austin. And we were talking, and we came up with this idea. What if I just started suplexing you in the match, and I don't stop, and then I beat you? And Cena was like, great. and Brock's like, really? He goes, even Brock's like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? And he goes, yeah. He goes, you just beat The Undertaker at WrestleMania. Like, you ended the streak. So if you and I go in the ring at SummerSlam and have a 50-50 match, we're squandering what you got out of beating The Undertaker at WrestleMania. So this is going to make an impact here and make a real statement, which it did, because I can't remember a single time in the history of this company where a main event guy was in the main event of a major show like SummerSlam and got squashed. We still talk about it to this day. So there was something to that logic, and it made sense to do that at the time. To run it back that way again, this inferior version 11 years later, was just terribly underwhelming and terribly disappointing. And I wasn't even upset that Brock won. Remember, we did the predictions last week. I picked Brock to win, so it wasn't a shock that he won. But the way in which they went about doing it was just completely deflating and disappointing and just lazy bullshit. And that's why people were upset about it.
And they have every right to be upset about it. I did enjoy. Yes. I enjoyed Brock making the kids cry. I always like seeing a good heel. Yeah, it's always nice to see.
That's always nice. But, I mean, look, those kids are lucky that Cena didn't bring them down to the ring with him, because imagine if the kids were surrounding the ring during the match, what Brock would have done to each one of them. There's like 24 kids out there that came out with him for his entrance.
Well, if he told Heath Slater's 5 kids, fuck them kids. I mean, who knows what he would have said to 20 kids? Who knows?
I mean, as big as he is, he looks like he ate a few kids. I mean, my God, he's just absolutely gigantic.
I don't know, man. The time off did him good, apparently. Speaking of Lesnar, we'll keep with the topic of Lesnar and Cena. We got a couple of news items here on both. WrestleVotes also reported today that Brock Lesnar is in the plans for next year. So if you don't want to see Brock Lesnar, then you're shit out of luck. The potential inclusion of Brock Lesnar for the 2026 Royal Rumble. Obviously, WrestleMania is in the cards. Right now, the Royal Rumble's in Saudi Arabia, and WrestleMania is going to be in Las Vegas next year. And Lesnar is going to be factored into plans going into the early stages of WrestleMania season next year. So we don't know who WWE has planned for Lesnar. I'm sure he'll be in the Rumble match, and that will set up his WrestleMania opponent. And I think they'll probably, if I'm a betting man, just go back and do what they could not do 2 years ago and set up Gunther and Lesnar for WrestleMania. I don't know how you feel about that. I think that's probably the direction they're going.
Well, I mean, there's already rumors going around about a major match possibly between Lesnar and Braun Breaker. So, I mean, that doesn't mean it has to be a WrestleMania next year. Right now, Breaker's a heel. He's part of the Vision. But there is a tie-in there with Brock and Heyman in the Vision, so that could potentially be interesting. That match to me, if you gave me the option of doing either Lesnar and Breaker or Lesnar and Gunther at WrestleMania next year, I would probably go Lesnar and Breaker. That's a match that really intrigues me. And then you could always do Lesnar and Gunther some other time. But if I can only pick between one of the two, I think I'm more intrigued by the Breaker match. And I think it would mean more for him than it would for Gunther.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't disagree with you there. I mean, if you don't do Gunther at WrestleMania for Lesnar, I mean, Gunther's got, if he's still on Raw, you could hopefully Dragunov will be back by then, and they build him up properly. That you could do that at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I mean, because I'm just thinking also, just in light of the news that came out today about AJ Styles, and maybe you want to bring that up now, because his contract, I believe, is up in February with WWE, and he gave this interview to, I think it was Tokyo Sports, And he mentioned that there's been talk maybe of extending his run out. He might possibly be at WrestleMania next year, even if his contract is over before then. They could always extend it probably. I would be more interested in Gunther as like a final opponent for AJ Styles, which is the match we haven't seen, right?
Yeah.
AJ and Gunther is a match they haven't done. So if it shaped up where it was like Lesnar Breaker and then AJ Gunther, I like that combination.
That's a good combination. Yeah, well, we're going to talk about Styles. I'll mention this now, being that you just mentioned it. He did speak with Tokyo Sports, and he would go on to give them a more definitive answer on when he plans to retire in 2026. Now, Jason said his contract is up in February. I also read the same thing, and he says with Tokyo Sports, I will probably appear at WrestleMania, but it's not confirmed yet. The details are still undecided, but I will definitely retire within the next year. I don't want to show my fans a side of me that isn't AJ Styles. That's the main reason I decided to retire before my body can no longer move. He also confirms that nothing is official yet, but post-retirement, he might continue to work with WWE by helping to develop younger stars that could be future main event wrestlers. So that's what he said. You know, if he holds himself to that, we'll see. It's pro wrestling. Nobody ever truly retires.
I mean, he's been saying for years though that he wants to be out before 50, and what is he? Is he 49?
Is he? I thought he was 40, 46.
He's either 48. He's either 48 or 49. I'm pretty sure.
Let's see. AJ Styles age. He's 48.
There you go.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, if he wants to be out before 50, I mean, that's the way to go right there. But AJ. WrestleMania next year, WWE more than likely will make that happen. I don't know what type of retirement, quote unquote, tour he's going to have or what they're going to do for him on his way out before he transitions into life as a producer or an agent or a coach, which I do think is probably going to be unbelievable for WWE to retain his services in that way. I'm sure Tony Khan will lure him out with a big contract possibly to still wrestle. But if AJ wants to retire before 50, I think he's going to stick to that because you don't want to risk that, especially he knows his body better than anybody. But Styles retiring, just seeing the way that they've kind of not used him to the best of his ability this year. I don't know how you feel about it, Jason. I'm kind of, also kind of peeved about that. I think they've had and he's had an injury, which, he said could have ended his career then when he had that foot injury not too long ago. I just haven't liked the way that they used him since they broke him away from the club. And I think WWE dropped the ball with him there. So the fact that we're getting the news about him and Cena, which we'll get into in a little bit, I'm glad that they're actually doing that now. And I don't know how much that ties into him potentially retiring and mixed with Cena retiring. But I'm glad that we're kind of making strides to give us some more Styles because I think TV is better with him on it.
Yeah, I mean, for the longest time, Triple H wasn't doing anything with him. Another failure, I think, of Triple H's booking is that he had someone like AJ Styles who, when he was healthy and is healthy, he's still not doing all that much with him. He's been mixed up with the Grande Americanos of late. That's what he's been doing. So, yes, it would be nice knowing that his time is winding down very soon. Again, if he sticks to his guns here, we don't even have him for another year. So, yes, this is the time to get him involved in some big stuff, whatever that may be. Cena being one thing, and really getting him in the mix with more than just, some of the kind of the lower level or middle of the card acts because we just don't have that much time left with him. And I feel like they have dropped the ball, with him, despite the injuries that he's had, because a few years ago, remember, he had a broken ankle. He missed WrestleMania.
Yep.
He might have actually, I don't know if it was that injury he had just come back from, but he had just come back. And then that's when he had that Liz Frank foot injury, which is like right in the middle of the foot, which is very painful. And it could have been career ending. So he came back from that. But, he's been firing on all cylinders lately and doing some entertaining stuff. So, let's hope that Triple H actually uses him in a meaningful way between now and the end.
Did you know that there was a report from WrestleVotes that they put out saying that WWE was close to inking a deal with a major food and beverage sponsor for El Grande Americano?
No, I did not see that.
Who do you think that could? It's got to be Starbucks, right?
I mean, you would think that would make too much sense.
What
else could it possibly be?
I don't know. They even trademarked, I believe, Los Americanos.
Well, I just assume that's because they're going to start having Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne as a tag team as the Americanos.
Oh, man. That's the creative in 2025, folks. We got two great pro wrestlers under masks. With three great pro wrestlers on the masks.
4 if you want to throw Gable in there.
It's fucking ridiculous.
This is his thing. It's like, okay, we have these great wrestlers. We don't know what to do with them. Fuck it, we'll put them under a mask.
It's like Triple H's version of let's put everybody in the Don Callis family. Let's put everybody in a fucking mask.
Yeah, let's have the Conquistadors. We'll just put everybody in gold costumes that we don't have ideas for.
So coming out of this Cena match and Lesnar match, there was a sea of critical opinions and negativity about why would you waste one of John Cena's last performances on this type of match, on Brock Lesnar. What are they doing? You know, Triple H has got his 7 or 8 burner accounts, so he sees everything and hears everything. But coming out
sorry to interrupt, but we have the answer. Apparently it's, according to the chat, Little Caesars, Mexico.
Oh, is that what it is? Oh, I'm disappointed. That's not Starbucks.
That's what they're saying in the chat.
The fuck does El Grande Americano have to do with Little Caesars? Pizza?
Apparently. I mean, Little Caesars, Mexico, El Grande.
Has anybody had Little Caesars? I never had one slice of Little Caesars ever.
No.
Is it even pizza?
I mean, I used to partake in some Pizza Hut back in the day. Oh, yeah, here we go. Little Caesars in partnership. This is from like 5 days ago. Little Caesars in partnership with WWE's greatest ever luchador, El Grande Americano. And there's like a little picture here of a pizza box. It says Little Caesars in the corner, and then right in the middle, Grande. And it has his mask as the logo on the pizza box.
Well, there you go. Little Caesars is now sponsoring El Grande Americano. I thought it was going to be Starbucks, but now I'm disappointed. But it is what it is. So, yeah, coming out of the Lesnar and Cena match, a lot of disappointment. Obviously, WWE seen it. They heard it. Triple H seen it. He's heard it. So then Cena, on Monday, puts out a tweet. And, you know, Cena sees all this shit, and this is his fucking run. This is his year to retire. He puts out a tweet. It got 7.5 million impressions on Twitter and 73,000 likes. All he put was hashtag Cena versus Styles thoughts, and then he hashtagged Monday Night Raw. So AJ Styles replies to that, and he puts out a tweet of his own saying that he's ready whenever, wherever. It got another like 4 or 5 million views or impressions on Twitter. And I'm saying to myself, there's no fucking way that this is the plan. And then we get a report saying from Meltzer that Styles and Cena is the plan. Styles and Cena was always the plan for Perth at Crown Jewel. I don't know how you feel about this, Jason, but knowing that we got the grade C from ESPN, the disappointment of WrestlePalooza, fans being critical of Triple H booking John Cena versus Brock Lesnar, and how fans were just ultimately disappointed with him wasting an appearance on that match after what we've been given the last 3 John Cena matches with Sami Zayn, Logan Paul, and Cody Rhodes. There is no fucking way that I personally believe that Triple H had Cena and Styles planned for Crown Jewel coming out of this show after we've already went over on this show tonight that they didn't have a fucking plan or a clue on how to book John Cena's heel run since he turned heel on March 1st at the Elimination Chamber, and they dropped the ball every single month on it, and they did nothing with it. These people had no fucking clue on what to do, and then you mean to tell me that this was the plan all along? Cena himself even came out after SummerSlam and said, yeah, me and Styles aren't planned. It's not planned. Yeah, I don't get to choose my opponents. They line them up, and I take them out, he said. That's where he said it. So coming out of the disappointment that's WrestlePalooza, I believe that this is all damage control, and they're finally giving the fans what they want because of the negative that we got from WrestlePalooza. I don't know how you feel about it, but I think it's all just coming up because of the negativity from WrestlePalooza.
Well, I mean, I'm kind of in the middle of this. So on the one hand, the tweeting that Cena and AJ were doing, of course, that was absolutely planned. Like that was not organic. I know because then Triple H, the White Knight, comes in with his own tweet. Oh, the fans demanded it, so we got to give the people what they want. So that was all orchestrated. Now, how recent they came up with this idea, I don't know. I will say, though, Cena has been advertised for Perth for a while. Brock was never advertised for Perth. If John Cena was going to have a match on the Crown Jewel card. And by the way, he's not scheduled for any television between now and then. So even this AJ thing, like, we're not going to see Cena on TV. But if he was going to have a match on that show, then who else would it have been? So I can buy the idea that sometime in the last couple of months, maybe they came up with the idea that, hey, maybe we'll do Cena Styles on that show. It makes me think of a few weeks ago when AJ cut that very weird promo during the commercial break on Raw about somebody in the back not liking him or whatever it was that he said, and then it kind of didn't go anywhere. Maybe that's tied into this in some way. So do I think that they are more than happy to throw this out there so that it makes people forget about what happened last weekend? Sure. It doesn't mean that it wasn't planned, because Cena was going to wrestle on that show. If he wasn't going to wrestle AJ Styles, who the hell was he going to wrestle? So it may well have been planned, but not, I don't think this was planned out 3-4 months in advance or anything like that. But the biggest thing is, people should not look at these tweets that we've seen going around this week and think that, oh, they heard us, our voices have been heard. Like, no. And well played on their part to make people believe that it was them who sort of manifested this. But no, that part of it was absolutely 100% planned out. And that's fine, because you know what? We're going to get a great match out of it. Like, the end result is the same. We're actually going to get a match that we absolutely should be getting on this retirement tour. It would have been ridiculous to not do Cena and AJ at least once. I had all but given up hope.
Well, whether it happens in Perth or it happened on December 13th, I don't give a fuck. I'm just glad it's happening.
Well, I never believed it was going to be his last match. I don't think Triple H wanted him to be his final opponent. But yeah, there was no reason to not do that match, even if it was a Raw match. Like, it doesn't even have to be a PLE match, right? It's better that way, right? No commercials. Maybe I shouldn't say that. It's ESPN. But still, like, whether it was a Raw match or whether it's a PLE match, at least we're getting it. And that's the most important thing. That's a big match. Some of the best matches of John Cena's career came against AJ Styles. And I was even present for one of them. I think I was present for the best one that they had. But they have had some kick-ass matches together. Now, they have not wrestled a singles match since 2018 on SmackDown, so it's been a while. But we saw what John Cena could do with the right opponent in August. He had 2 banger matches in the month of August. And even if you look at AJ Styles and say, well, it's not quite the AJ of 7 or 8 or 10 years ago. Yeah, but that's true of anybody, right? You and me and everybody, we're not the same now as we were 10 years ago. No. We're better. But besides that, you know, Cena and AJ, they're going to go out there, they're going to have a great match.
In an international crowd, in front of an international crowd.
In front of that crowd. Yeah. That's the other thing. In front of that crowd in Perth, what is the atmosphere going to be like for that match? Now, the building they're in, do we know what the capacity is? Like, is it a big building?
I think it's 30,000 plus, yeah.
Is it? Okay, because they have 30,000 in France, so I didn't know if it was going to be in that range or like 10,000 or what it was going to be. But whatever it is, if it's indoors, not like an outdoor stadium, that's even better because it'll be louder. So the atmosphere is going to be just ridiculous for that match. So I'm very much looking forward to it. I'm glad they're doing it whenever they came up with the idea, but it is very convenient for them.
I stand corrected. 16,000.
That's fine.
Yeah.
It'll be allowed 16,000 in that building because I'm sure it's sold out. So I'm just glad we're getting the match. You know, that's why I said, like, it almost feels like course correcting here in the latter part of his retirement tour. I hope they stick the landing, you know, because he has been a very important part of the company now for, you know, the better part of 20 years. Even if you weren't really a big John Cena fan, you can't doubt the impact that he had on the company, you know, given the position that he was in for so long. Whether you felt like he should have been in that position or not for as long as he was the guy in that company, and he's had a lot of great matches in his career. So I hope that they can stick the landing with this, whoever his final opponent is going to be, and whatever they're going to do with him in San Diego at Survivor Series, whether it's War Games or a singles match. I hope they get it right from this point on. This match here is going to go a long way towards that, but I really hope they can get it right here in these last few appearances.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. This is going to be great. There was actually a note from WrestleVotes as well in regards to Cena's final match. The announcement is expected within the coming week, says WrestleVotes, with a potential announcement as early as this Sunday, September 28th. Now, is it I guess it's beneficial for them to announce who his final match and opponent's going to be, so that they could sell tickets to that show. Correct? So,
wait a minute. So, my impression was that it was an announcement about the venue in DC, not the opponent.
It says WrestleVotes final match details expected to be announced by WWE within the company with a potential announcement as early as Sunday. I guess that's maybe what they're insinuating. I don't know why they would announce an opponent unless they just wanted to sell tickets immediately for that show.
Yeah, no, I mean, because they announced DC, but I don't believe they've announced where in DC.
I thought it was the Capital One Arena.
Is it the Capital? That's what I'm asking. So have they made? So they've already announced that.
Yeah.
Okay. So then, what other details would they be announcing then?
Other than his opponent, that's the only thing I could think of. Why would they do that so early? Like you're giving us a glimpse into the creative that hasn't started yet and won't start yet, and you got Survivor Series to go through.
Well, the thing is, though, I mean, there's not much of a story to build. I mean, he's not going to be on television to really build to whatever the match is anyway. So is there any real harm in? I mean, is there really any harm in announcing who the opponent is going to be if they wanted to announce it now? It's not like, I mean, it's not as if something is necessarily going to happen at Survivor Series that will then lead to whoever his final opponent. If he's not wrestling Brock, then there might not be any harm in just spoiling it and saying, okay, here's who he's wrestling in his final match, and maybe they can get a big name for it. I don't know. But, we're not going to have him on television to promote these matches. So that's the thing. I mean, he's going to be very, very limited from here on out in terms of how many appearances he makes.
Yeah, we'll see if that comes to fruition from WrestleVotes. They're usually correct on most of their stuff, but Cena's got 2 Raws after Perth.
I'm sure they'll announce it after I drop the sound off on Sunday. Bastards.
He's got 2 Raws after Perth, one in Boston at the TD Garden and one in New York City, Madison Square Garden, and then Survivor Series, which I think a lot of people are speculating that's going to be Cena or a team, a mixture of Cena, Reigns, Cody, Punk, and maybe Randy Orton or LA Knight against the Vision alongside Drew McIntyre and Brock Lesnar. Now, that would be fucking unbelievable if that actually does happen, but we don't really know.
Cody. I mean, you have more matches on the show. You got to have at least one big name in a like a title match on that show, or some kind of separate match.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking Cody because of what they're building here with him and Rollins going into Perth. I think that's going to continue after Crown Jewel.
I don't know. I think it might end in Perth, but I just don't think you want to blow your whole load on one match. I mean, you do have a card. Knowing Triple H, it'll be fucking 4 matches, but you do have an actual card outside of the 2 War Games matches that you have to build up.
4-match PLEs, 3.5 hours. I mean, you got 2 War Games situations there that probably go 45 minutes each. So that's his easy way out. So.
How can they brand or sponsor the War Games matches this year? Do you think? Because nothing sells the fear of a War Games match, like having the cage and the ring be plastered with logos and advertisements.
Mattel, or whoever does their figures. Mattel.
I see.
Yeah.
So maybe like a giant Mattel logo just on the mats or everywhere, the turnbuckles.
Maybe we'll get some tables with Mattel on them. I don't know.
Not quite the War Games of the days of Dusty and the Road Warriors and the Horsemen, is it?
No, not at all. This is the corporate War Games.
Yeah.
Different times, different fucking day and age here, man. Moving on with the rest of this show here. Quickly, we'll run through this because there's not really much to talk about here as far as some of these other matches. We got the Bronze versus the Usos. We talked about this the week before. Well, it's not surprising to see the Vision win because I think we both predicted AJ and Punk to beat Becky and Seth Rollins in the mixed tag team match, so I'm not really surprised there. Nothing really came out of that substantial outside of LA Knight being the special guest referee and them continuing to tease tension between LA Knight and Jey Uso. I don't know how you feel about Jey Uso and his like edgier character now, and he's kind of doing his own thing, and he's getting into it with his brother, and Cody's trying to talk to him, and he doesn't really want to listen to Cody, but he's just listening out of respect. And some people noticed that he might have been looking at the WWE Championship. I didn't really see him looking at the title. I just saw him looking down because he didn't really want to listen to what Cody had to tell him on Raw. How do you feel about this LA Knight Jey Uso dynamic? Because this is the real story coming out of this.
I laugh when I think about the summer that LA Knight has had So I have documented on my show many times. With these Raw reviews, I'll come on and say, okay, this is week number 6 or week number 7 that we've had LA Knight against some variation of, with the Usos and the Vision. And so here we go again. On Monday, it was LA Knight against Jey Uso. And this was like 7 weeks in a row.
Funny thing, bro. I predicted LA Knight versus Jimmy Uso on my stream on Saturday.
You were close. You got the wrong twin, but you were close. And so here we are again. LA Knight against Jey Uso. And yet again, LA Knight loses. So 7 weeks in a row, 6 of those 7 weeks, he has lost. Now, by the grace of the wrestling gods, this man is still over. If it was almost anybody else, they would already be dead in the water. So he's really testing this theory of the importance of wins and losses, because he's still very popular with the fans. But at what point does that begin to change? How many times can you beat this man before people just give up and they hear his music and the reactions are going to get less and less and less and less? Because that's where I feel we're headed here. How many times is he going to be on this television show losing matches before something happens, whether he goes heel or something has to happen, does it not? I mean, do we just keep going in this infinite loop for another, 2-3 months?
I hope not. I mean, the show is
where
fucking...
is this leading? Where is this going?
Either a heel turn going rogue or a heel turn joining the Vision. Those are my 2 predictions.
The thing with Jey Uso is I like the fact that they've added a harder edge to him. And he's not just the Yeet Man coming out and dancing. I mean, he's doing that anyway. But at least it's something a little bit different. It adds a little bit of color to his character that he was lacking there for a long time. So I don't even hate necessarily the story of the tension between him and LA Knight. But again, to go back to the Triple H thing, like, he will take something and he will feed it to you over and over and over and over again until you just get sick of it. And it's like, all right, how many combinations of this are we going to get?
Well, at least he broke up the fucking formula of them main eventing the show, and we got Rhea versus Asuka in the main event.
Well, that was a welcome change, and that was a hell of a main event that we had on Monday. That was a great match. So, yes, at least thankfully it was not the main event this week. But it's just at some point, very, very soon, he's going to have to change things up here, because he's rapidly running out of combinations here of different LA Knight matches to do involving the same people over and over again. They're going to have to add a new member to the Vision. It may not be him. It may have to be somebody else, so that when he works against the Vision, they can throw the new person in there and the new person can beat him.
That's just that's Chat GPT fucking created, man. That's awful.
That's WWE.
I know. Maybe we're looking at the War Game. Maybe I'm looking at the War Games team a little wrong. Maybe it'd be Roman, the Usos, Punk, and LA Knight against the Vision.
Well, that's closer to what I was thinking, because I was thinking Cena, Punk, and Roman being on the same team makes all the sense in the world. And then either you put the Usos in there, or you could do Jey. Well, I don't know if they want to leave Jimmy out, but you could do Jey Uso and LA Knight, and that could be your babyface team. And hey, maybe LA Knight goes heel in the War Games match.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe that's
if your theory is true, and he is ultimately gonna, if I can't beat him, join him, and he was to join the Vision, maybe that's the place they do it.
I don't know how much merch LA Knight's selling. I'm assuming Jey Uso's got him beat there, so I don't know why they would want to turn Jey. Like, people thinking Jey Uso's going heel. I think that's an awful move.
No, why would he go heel?
Why would ESPN and Netflix want to get rid of the Yeet? They love that shit. I mean, why would they do that?
Just you saying that, Rikishi is getting his latest rant all prepped and ready to go now for his podcast. Like, you can't talk like that.
They're disrespecting my family. Whatever the fuck he says over there.
Taking merch money out of his pocket.
I don't know. Jey Uso walked away from this match with a concussion. He went through concussion protocol. He was cleared. He wrestled Knight on Monday, so he's good to go.
I don't know that he had a concussion. It was standard protocol that he was under. It was concussion protocol that he was under, but it may well have just been a precautionary thing. Okay. So I don't know that it was confirmed. Same thing with Tiffany Stratton. I don't know that she had a concussion or just the fear that she might. Yeah. And so they don't take any chances, which is good, because there was a time many years ago where they would not take those chances.
Yeah, that spot with the chair in the match where he hit Breaker, he hit him so fucking hard, the chair bounced off Breaker and hit him in the head so quick, I missed it, honestly. It was pretty
It was
brutal.
very slight. Yeah, it must have been like the corner of the chair, because it wasn't that obvious, but man, he was he was bleeding pretty good. I mean, on a scale of like a Moxley scale of 1 to 5, it was a solid 3.5.
Yeah, and then shout out to Breaker too, because when he speared both Usos through the table, you could see him actually taking a little bit more effort to protect Jay going through the table because of the bleeding. So that was a cool thing to see.
Did you notice at the finish?
Yeah.
I didn't even notice it the first time I watched the show. When I went back to try to figure out where Jay got cut, I saw the end of the match over again, and I was like, how did I miss this? The table falling on Jimmy, the way it just very slowly folded over him in the corner. How fucking perfect was that?
That was some of the best things are not planned, bro. That was great.
That was perfect.
Ladies, we got Stephanie Vaquer and Io Sky, the best match of the night. And I was actually quite surprised that they went and gave Stephanie the world championship here. I'm not complaining they gave Stephanie the world championship, but I thought it was going to be better on Io. Now that we've seen what they're doing in the follow-up on Raw, and we got the added announcement on Saturday, Jason, that the Crown Jewel championships and the Crown Jewel rings are going to be on the line again in Perth. I think we kind of had a feeling as to where they were going with both of the major championships, both for the women and the men. Io is not the champion. Stephanie won the championship, and now she gets Tiffany Stratton, Jade Cargill, or Nia Jax at the pay-per-view in Perth. I'm hoping it's going to be Tiffany. Tiffany's the only right answer there. That's going to be a great match if that is the case. But what these ladies did for 20 minutes, I enjoyed it. I thought it was great. Crowd was into it. I wish they were into it a little bit more, but I think that goes back to what we've discussed with Stephanie on the show for the past couple of weeks. She hasn't been on the show, and a lot of fans don't really find themselves into her because what is there to be into? She's got to be on the TV show and integrated into the show.
They're into the Devil's Kiss.
They are. Which, I mean, everybody's into that, and obviously you could see why. But I think her as the champion, they're going to take a chance on her. Hopefully it ends up being better than Julia and the United States Championship, being that they both came up at the same time. But I can't complain that Stephanie's the champion, and all I know is, man, we're going to get some fucking great women's championship matches out of her because she's fucking great.
I think it was cool that her father was there. I guess he flew up from Chile, and he was right there in the front row.
Yep.
So after she won, she went right over to him, and then on Raw on Monday, when they show everybody doing the obligatory walk into the building thing, he was walking into the building with her. What must have been going through his head? Like, just walk and we'll film you. It's got to be like awkward, right? Because now you're just focusing on that. So he's walking into the building like he's he's her manager or something. But yeah, you could tell like it meant a lot to her. So that was very cool. And we got to see something that we never get to see, which is her getting mic time live in the middle of the ring.
Yes.
And she did well. She's talked about, I think, once a week, maybe more than once a week. She's been taking English classes. She's trying to improve her English. It's still broken, but, you can understand her. She's gotten better at it. And so that's great, because she is going to be a superstar for them in that division for many years to come, as Rhea has been for many years. Stephanie could be that for them. So it was never that I objected to them putting the championship on her. It was that I just felt it was premature. And you could have waited to tell that story and had her win it, early next year when she had more time on television, because she did miss a lot of time. She didn't wrestle at all in the month of August, but she's the champion now. We see why, based on what they did at the end of the show on Monday night, because Io has some drama going on.
She does. We'll get into that for sure. But Stephanie is the women's champion here. Triple H actually provided some backstage update on Stephanie Vaquer's health and why she missed some of the build for this match with Io Sky at WrestlePalooza. He says, I'll let everybody in on some behind-the-scenes secrets with Stephanie. In the last few weeks, Stephanie's been very sick. I don't know all the details of what the flu-type thing was going on, but she was very sick. It's why she missed TV and why there was an odd build to it. She was able to feel well enough to get cleared medically to compete at WrestlePalooza. So that was that. You heard multiple stories. She was out taking English lessons and brushing up on her English, and then Triple H says this. Whatever the case may be, I'm just glad to have her back, and hopefully she's a fixture on TV. But the most important thing is, Jason, like you said, they gave her mic time and TV time to actually express her gratitude, not only to the fans, her father, what the championship and the win meant to her. I think the way she speaks, there's a genuineness about her that I hope catches on, because even though she's not fully engulfed in the English language yet, there is just a genuine, like, you just listen to her and you can't help but fucking feel good for her and cheer for her. So I definitely feel that resonating when we watch Stephanie, and I hope that they have something solid for her planned going into Crown Jewel and with this championship run, because there is no shortage of opponents over there. They have the best division maybe in all of wrestling on that one show. So hopefully they know what they're doing.
Yeah, I love that line. I think that she mentioned where wrestling is her language, or her love language, whatever it was. So yeah, I mean, she's going to be a major name for them, and hopefully now she'll be consistently on television, because she did miss a lot of time over the summer. So that was, to me, that was the best part of WrestlePalooza. It was the best match on the show. It was the highlight of the show. I still put the Rhea EO match from Evolution over this one.
Yeah.
But both matches were just fantastic. And look at the resume that EO has been putting together this year alone. Like the matches that she's been a part of, going back to, even the Raw match with Rhea earlier this year, and the WrestleMania triple threat match. Like she's been killing it all year.
I tell you what, man, the tribalism is at fucking toxic levels, all-time highs. Cody Rhodes just topped the PWI top list 500.
Second year in a row.
Second year in a row. I mean, I'm not one that really engulfs myself in the opinions of these lists, because it's all subjective. But man, when the women's lists come out, or when the women's list come out, it's going to be so fucking toxic, because you're going to have your people that are going to claim Mercedes is the top female this year, and then you're going to have people like EO. I don't know where it's going to go, but if I had to choose just based on match quality, I don't know, to put
EO's
me on
number one.
To put me on the spot, I'd probably go EO. Yeah.
Yeah. No, EO, I mean, she's my wrestler of the year so far in 2025. I don't see that changing between now and the end of the year.
Yeah.
And that's not a knock on anybody else, whether it's Stephanie or Mercedes or Tony Storm or anything like that. EO is just one of the best wrestlers on the planet, male or female. She's great. And the way she can connect with the crowd. And again, another one where English is not her first language. And frankly, Stephanie is probably a better English promo than EO is at this point. But EO just has this natural charisma about her. And, whether she's doing this or whatever it is, like, when she's out there, like, I don't know, it's weird. Like, she makes the crowd happy. She's got that personality about her, but she's also a great wrestler. So when you have that natural charisma, even if, maybe promos are not your strong suit, when you can still connect with the audience on that level, then you have something special.
Yeah, she's got one thing that she has working in her favor for sure. Outside of all those great things, she's got recognizable theme music. So when you hear it, you know that EO's coming out. So
yes,
a lot of people don't have that luxury in that women's division. Mixed tag team match here with CM Punk, AJ Lee, Seth Rollins, and Becky Lynch. This went almost 30 minutes. And I enjoyed this for what it was. I wasn't expecting a match of the year candidate or anything. I enjoyed the lead up to this. I was excited to see AJ Lee back in a WWE ring wrestling. I enjoyed Becky's work with Punk. I enjoy Punk's work in general. I'm a big Punk guy. You see his genuine happiness working alongside his wife. I thought this was good, Jason. The only criticism I had about this, and I'm curious to see if you felt the same way, it's difficult to book these mixed tag team matches because you got two guys who are probably very giddy working with their wives. Punk working with his wife, who's now back after 10 years, so he's probably more excited than anybody. They wanted to have fun, and you clearly see that all four individuals were having fun in the build-up to this match, and in this match in particular. But the only thing that I found criticism with is it was a little hokey for me at times. It was a little too comedic at times, and a lot of it came from Becky or Seth, or a mixture of both at times, and they were kind of trolling and teasing and skipping around, and I felt like sometimes in a feud where it's Rollins and Punk and it's just pure hatred and blood feud, and especially with Rollins and what he did to Punk to take the title away from him in the manner that he did at SummerSlam. I get that there's time for fun and games, but I don't think it's time for fun and games now, especially if you added the wives to add an element of like personal feeling to this feud. So the little, the fun spots and the comedy spots that we got, maybe I'm being a little too hard. I didn't really enjoy that stuff. I felt like it should have been a little bit more of a serious tone. But all in all, at the end of the match, I felt like it was good. I felt like AJ, they did as much as they could with her being back for the first time in 10 years. I think a lot of that was credited to Becky Lynch as far as some of the reports that we read. She didn't look out of place. I think the only thing out of AJ Lee I did have a problem with was those windmill fucking slaps she was doing. I thought that looked awful. I would work on that to not do that at all. I thought that looked bad. But all in all, man, I thought this was a solid, fun match, and I enjoyed myself.
Yeah, it was a fun match. It should have closed the show. This should have been the main event of the show. Plus, the feel-good, happy ending with AJ getting the win. To your first point, that didn't bother me. When they did some of the fun spots, that's what made the match fun. And Rollins skipping around, I thought that was great because he was mocking them. That's what Rollins does. He was mocking them, and then when he skipped into the ring, he skipped right into a GTS. So that didn't bother me at all. If I had one real criticism of the match, it did not need to go 30 minutes. I think the match would have benefited, frankly, because there were some parts in the middle. And especially also like before AJ got the hot tag, and it was smart to build to that, right? They were building to her tagging into that match, which was the smart thing to do. There were some times where it slowed down, but then once they hit that final stretch, everybody was into it, and they did some big spots, and everybody was on their feet. I think it would have benefited by shaving, 5 or 6 minutes off. That would be the only real critique that I would have about the match. I didn't have any issue with them working a little bit of humor in there in certain spots. I don't think they overdid it. If they overdid it, maybe it would have bothered me, but they're heels, and that's what these two particular heels, especially Becky, that's what they do. And so it kind of fit, and it blew up in their face. And you could see how happy Punk was when AJ... Actually, if there's one other critique I have, AJ applying the octopus there at the finish, that did not look good. Because the point, like she's grabbing Becky's arm, and the point is you're supposed to pull the arm back, and that's the person taps out, and she just she grabbed the arm, but that's really all she was doing. So that could have looked a little bit better, but now we're getting into minor stuff. This woman hasn't wrestled a match in 10 years. I thought on the whole AJ looked fine. She'll get better as she wrestles more. Again, she's under a full-time contract, multi-year full-time contract, so we'll be seeing her in the ring more often, and she'll get accustomed to that. And I'm interested to see how she mixes and matches with some of the newer women on the roster. I think her and Liv Morgan absolutely needs to be a match at some point. Her and Roxanne Perez, her and Becky, for the Intercontinental title. I'm sure they're going to be, maybe even as soon as Crown Jewel, they could be doing that match. So there's so many different people for her to work with on that roster that... I think she'll be a nice addition. It's not like the division needed AJ Lee back, but by having her back, because she is such a big name in that division, I think it'll kind of uplift everybody.
Yeah, we don't have a news article on if that match is taking place at Crown Jewel yet, but we did both talk about that last week, and the only outcome was for AJ Lee to win that match and potentially set up Becky Lynch's next opponent for the Intercontinental Championship. So, if not at Crown Jewel, maybe at one of those major East Coast shows that they do. So we'll see what happens there. But
one thing I will say, and I don't know if you feel this way, but this also goes to the Triple H booking that we were talking about. At some point, we I'm sure are going to get a singles match between Seth Rollins and CM Punk. I'm done with Seth Rollins and CM Punk. Like, the idea of waiting until WrestleMania next year to do this match no longer appeals to me. This has been going on for so long now. And I realized it coming out of that tag match where there's no excitement left in me to see this match. I'm ready to see both these men move on to something else. And I really just don't have any interest in seeing them drag this out until April of next year. I'm done with it.
I don't know. I have a feeling. I have a dark feeling that they will drag it out, because that's exactly what he's done all year. Drag shit out. By the time we get there, it's going to be way too predictable to even care. So I hope that they don't. If Punk, in my opinion, is going to wrestle Rollins, it should happen before the end of the year. And at that point, I don't even want him to win the World Championship, because the one match I'm more interested in is what they built upon I don't know if it was last year's WrestleMania or the year before that, but him and Cody. Yeah, that's exactly what I want to see. I think that's the match that we go for.
Yep, I have a lot more interest in seeing that and the promos between those two guys than just seeing Punk and Rollins. I'm over it.
Yeah,
I mean, they have beaten this to death from the moment Punk came back into the company, and we're coming on 2 years since that Survivor Series return. It has been nonstop, him and Seth. And now we've seen them several times. We saw them not just on the Netflix debut, they were in the ring together at WrestleMania this year in the main event on night 1. And then they had another match, and then we did the wives are involved now. And so I'm sure we're going to get it one more time at least. But I just realized, like, you know what? I don't have the excitement is no longer there for it. And I really hope we don't belabor the point, and let's just get Punk involved with a Cody or somebody else and let Rollins move on to something else too, because I'm over it.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I think a lot of people feel the same way, but I don't know. I was hoping that we'd get something a little bit more interesting coming out of this. We don't know even where Punk is going to fit in. I'm assuming War Games is the next step. I don't see Punk wrestling at Crown Jewel, so I think War Games is going to be the next stop for him and Rollins. And after that, I have no idea where the next match takes place. One more and it's over. Like, this has dragged on longer than McIntyre and Punk, and McIntyre and Punk never got boring to me.
No, McIntyre and Punk was a better feud.
Yes, it never got boring to me, and they really kept that going. That fucking bracelet really saved that entire storyline. Yeah, we'll see what happens there. I don't know. I'm not really too keen on what's going on right now, especially in the main event side for Monday night. But the main event here at WrestlePalooza, Drew McIntyre and Cody Rhodes, WWE Championship, went 17 minutes or so. This was, at best, a SmackDown main event. I did not find myself interested in anything here, just based on the fact that I knew Cody was not going to lose this match and lose the WWE Championship. I feel bad for McIntyre, bro. I said it on Friday when I was watching SmackDown. He's always the bridesmaid, never the bride. You know, McIntyre is such a great performer and such a star. I look at McIntyre, I look at like the perfect pro wrestler. A lot of people say that perfect pro wrestler is like Randy Orton. I look at both of them. McIntyre is fucking phenomenal. Anytime he's on TV, he's just someone that makes the television show better. There hasn't been any build for this because Cody had to go film Street Fighter, and that's great. That's fine. But McIntyre, he put Cody out by putting him through the announce desk. He had to do basically all the selling himself, which was the bare minimum. Cody comes back legitimately days before the pay-per-view to, say, I'll see you at WrestlePalooza, and that was it. And then we get the main event. But as far as the match itself, too predictable for me. It wasn't a bad match because I don't think either guy's bad matches, but there was nothing that really drew you in. I felt like they never really got shifted into the next gear. The outcome was very flat. Cody goes off the air winning the WWE Championship, and I know you said the same thing. I felt the same thing too. It's like, is something going to happen here? Because we got this kind of lame duck match. There's nothing to happen in the match. Are they going to save the big surprise? What's the big deal for this show? And then Cody just holds the title, and we go right to Joe Tessitore on the fucking post show, and then nothing happens. Then there was a report that came out.
Well, before you get to that, though,
yeah.
Before you get to the report, the other reason also is when I found out they were opening with Cena and Lesnar. This is before I saw the finish to Cena and Lesnar. But when I saw that, I said, "Oh well, they have to have something planned then, because if they're not going to close the show with Brock and Cena, and they're going to close with Cody and Drew." There must be something planned. It may not be a title change, but there has to be something planned. Randy Orton might be involved. Something's going to happen here. And then nothing happened. He just beat him. It's like even when they did the Cody and Kevin Owens match the first time at that Saturday night's main event, and he just beat KO, they still shot this major angle, right? When the match was over and they went off the air. Like there was something that happened. So you're just waiting for something because we've been conditioned to almost expect it. And then nothing happens. And like you said, they just go right into the post show. And I'm like, you know what? In many ways, this is a very appropriate conclusion to this show.
Well, ESPN wanted it on as the main event because they wanted a match with pomp and circumstance of a big title defense headlining the show.
Pomp and circumstance.
Yeah.
Well, then why don't you dig up the corpse of the Macho Man and send him out to the ring? You'll get your pomp and circumstance. By the way, why is ESPN dictating these things? This is an ominous sign. If ESPN is dictating to WWE on the very first show that they do what they want in the main event of the show, well, why would they have any say in that?
Maybe they should dictate that they add more matches to these fucking PLEs. How about that?
Well, if they're going to dictate good things, then I'm okay with that. But if they're going to dictate anything else, I just look at that as an ominous sign. If they are wielding that much power, that they have control over what match goes on when and who's in the main event. And I mean, you kind of expect that with the Saudi shows because the Saudis want certain stars on those shows, but we don't need ESPN, or maybe we do. I don't know. Based on what we saw, maybe we do want ESPN having more of a say in these shows.
I don't know. That's coming from SAP and Fightful Select, so that's not some rinky-dink site. But the original pitched championship match between Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre, the finish that was originally pitched was...
by Cody and Drew, supposedly. This is what they wanted to do.
Yes, this was pitched by Cody and Drew, chat, by the way. It's now being reported by Bodyslam.net. Sources indicate that both Cody and Drew McIntyre both pitched Randy Orton, accidentally costing Cody Rhodes the Undisputed Championship. This would have set up Cody chasing the title once again and winning it back from Drew before Randy pulled the trigger and turned on Cody. Ultimately, the decision was made by the creative team to have Rhodes beat McIntyre straight up instead. So, you know, I look at the GIF, Jason, when we saw the Unreal documentary air on Netflix, and there was just this GIF for this still shot of the writing room, and everybody is sitting there, Triple H sitting at the head of the table. Who do you want to win the Royal Rumble? Punk, 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 punk. And then Michael Hayes says, how about Jey Uso? Yeah, we'll go with that. That's make that work, guys.
That's the idea right there. There you go. Give that man a raise.
Everybody wanted the right outcome, and they go with the outcome nobody wanted. And they do the same thing here, bro. Listen, I don't even give a shit if you're going to hot potato the title after Cody hasn't made one title defense after beating John Cena, bro. I don't even give a shit. All I want is some excitement on the show, and I want some unpredictability. If that was the way you were going to generate excitement, I don't know why you didn't. Cody even advocated for it. Like, I don't understand it. Like, if he's okay losing his second reign to Drew McIntyre so that he beats McIntyre for a third time to win it back and then challenges Randy Orton for it and Randy Orton goes heel, who's going to say no to that? I think the fans would have popped big for that.
Well, I think ESPN would have popped big for it because it would have given them something big to go off the air with on their first big ESPN debut. So, like, I don't understand that at all. I mean, to me, that sounds like a much better idea than what they went with. And I feel like we've been talking about this potential Cody and Randy Orton thing for like 2 years now.
Yeah.
And we still haven't gotten it. We're still talking about Randy possibly turning on Cody Rhodes. It's almost 2026.
Randy wasn't even on this show Saturday. We don't even know if he's going to be booked for Perth. He could be against McIntyre, but we don't know.
Well, I saw there was somebody who made a comment on an Instagram post, a fan, about we never see Randy. Like, they were listing out all the different shows that Randy wasn't at because we don't see him very often. And then his wife, did you see his wife replied?
No.
Yeah. His wife replied, and I don't have it in front of me, but it was basically agreeing with what the person said. Like, again, I forgot the word she used, but basically like co-signing what that person said. Because we really don't. We don't see Randy Orton all that much on TV. But again, this story with him and Cody, whether whoever's the heel and whoever's the face, it would probably be Orton as the heel, but even if it was the other way around. But like the fact that we're still like talking about possibly getting Cody and Randy, and again, it's like, how long are we going to wait for this before they actually do something with it? It's been going on for like 2 years now.
Hunter in the chat says, Brian Alvarez said the Randy stuff is not true. I mean, I could very well see it being true. WWE changed the outcome for Lesnar and Cena the day. Why wouldn't they do the same thing for the main event?
Well, but again, that's one report, right? That was the Body Slam report. So that's why I always say, like, according to the report, none of this is confirmed or double or triple confirmed from what I could tell. So who knows if Randy was going to be factored into it or not. I mean, I'll tell you what, though, that idea, much better than what they did.
Yes.
I would have endorsed that idea. That would have been great. And I understand it was unlikely because this was Cody's first title defense. Cody won the belt back from John Cena at SummerSlam. He had not defended the championship. This was his first defense. So on the one hand, sure, it would be silly after he fought and scratched to get the belt back, and then his first match, you take it away from him. But there are certain times where, you know what, it's the right call to pull the trigger and do a title change if it's going to help shake things up a little bit and make things a little more interesting. And even if Drew had the belt for 2 months and dropped it to Cody at Survivor Series, right? That would be fine. There's no harm in that. As long as you get things back on track. If you have some grand plan for Cody heading into WrestleMania next year in Vegas, you've got plenty of time to get the belt back on him between now and then. And Drew at least can finally have some run of some description.
I don't know, do you feel like we may run this match back at Crown Jewel and whatever we just talked about here with the report from Body
not
Slam?
Crown Jewel. Can't do it at Crown Jewel.
Never mind. You can't do it at Crown Jewel. Never mind.
Survivor Series, you could do it.
Yeah.
That's why I said I was a little surprised when you mentioned Cody in War Games, because I just don't see Cody being in War Games. I think it's more likely they would run back Cody and Drew, and maybe what they were supposedly going to do last weekend, they could still do it.
Yeah.
They could do it as Survivor
that was the point
Series.
I wanted to make before I forgot that they got these stupid fucking rings on the line, which throws a whole it just stifles creative because now they're going to do champion versus champion.
Yeah, but you could still do this idea. I mean, now it's out there, so of course they probably won't want to do it. But you could still do that as Survivor Series and do a title change there with Randy getting involved and sort of accidentally costing Cody the championship.
Or maybe Drew costs Cody the match with Rollins, and that's how we set up multiple things. Maybe we get that. Maybe his loose affiliation with the Vision, and maybe him and Cody at Survivor Series. I don't know.
because I don't see Cody winning that match at Crown Jewel.
No, I'm going Rollins all the way.
But I don't see Rollins winning straight up.
No.
So if someone is going to get involved, yes, you could have the Vision get involved. But actually Drew getting involved and screwing Cody over would make a lot of sense. And then that would lead into, one more match at Survivor Series. Because Drew's on the poster for Crown Jewel.
Well, and Cody also said on Monday, he's like, are you gonna wrestle this match straight up without your cronies out there with you? Because the last time we wrestled, or the last 3 times we wrestled, you had nobody but you. So is it going to be more the same? So he asked him, like, one-on-one. So I imagine none of the Vision's going to show up, and maybe McIntyre shows up, and that kind of throws that narrative into him helping him. I don't know.
Yeah, no, you can definitely do that.
So, yeah, that was WrestlePalooza chat. Not really a spectacle like Triple H had promised us, but Crown Jewel is looking to be a much better show. We got Cena Styles. I'm hoping Stephanie Vaquer versus Tiffany Stratton, champion versus champion. We got Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes, which got started off in a great way on Monday night. I love their face-to-face on Monday. A serious Rollins is the best Rollins, and Cody can also bring it when he wants to tell a story, which they definitely need to do more of with him because I feel like they have not really tapped into a great storyteller that is Cody Rhodes as champion.
Yeah. And my guess would be that they do Rhea and Io on that show against the Kabuki Warriors.
Yes, that's 4 matches right there. Maybe Becky, AJ Lee for the Intercontinental Championship. Maybe they do Drew versus Randy as a 6th match. Who knows what they do with the Bronze and LA Knight and the Usos. I have no idea, but
it'll be some combination of LA Knight and the Bronze and or the Usos. Of that, you can be assured. I just don't know what the actual configuration of the match is going to be.
So, yeah, hopefully we're hoping for 6 matches at least, minimum, for Crown Jewel, but I'm not holding my breath for Mr. Levesque and his creative.
It's an 8 a.m. Eastern start for that show.
That's actually better than 5 a.m. I might be up for that. I don't know. It's early, but it's not too early.
It's still early.
We'll see. I'm not going live after the show's over. I'll tell you that. I'll go live somewhere in the afternoon when I'm actually awake. But we got some time for that. All Out. Let's shift gears over to AEW. All Out was from Toronto. Not their best All Out by any stretch, but there was some things I did like on this show, a lot I did not like. And we'll start here with the opening match. Adam Copeland and Christian Cage versus FTR, Dax and Cash with Stokely. I was looking forward to this match the most out of everything because it had the closest thing to, I don't want to say a consistent story, but the closest thing to a story so far out of anything else on this show. And I always appreciate the level of storytelling that Adam Copeland brings to a feud. And now that he's aligned with Christian, I think they are still ahead of a lot of people in today's day and age as far as what they do there. FTR, best tag team in the world, in my opinion. And there was no reason for this match to not be good. And it was very good to open the show. The thing is, Jason, with this, I feel like we should have gotten more. Maybe I'm greedy. I felt like it ended abruptly, and the ending was absolutely ludicrous, in my opinion, for 2 reasons. One, the amount of offense FTR gave Copeland with a ring bell, a spike pile driver, 2 shatter machines, he kicks out. He delivers 1 spear, and he wins the match. I hated that. I thought that was fucking awful. I don't know what I was watching, but it's typical AEW. Secondly, Beth Phoenix comes out. I pop my ass off of the couch because I'm like, hey, another Alter Bridge song, man. This is War, one of my favorite tracks off the last album. Beth Phoenix comes out, Beth Copeland. She comes on out, beats the shit out of Stokely, carries him away. After the match is over, she gets in there. Copeland finds himself handcuffed. She kisses him and she battles FTR 2-on-1. And then she gets a spike pile driver for her troubles. And then they leave the ring and Copeland is reaching helpless. He can't help his wife. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, where did I see this last? This was Extreme Rules 2022 with Rhea Ripley giving a concerto to Beth Phoenix while Edge is looking at his former stablemates in the Judgment Day just beat up his wife. And that's it. So not only did Edge kick out of the ludicrous way that they beat him up, they also rehashed the 2022 storyline that the WWE did only 3 years ago. So I don't know how you felt about it. I'm like, if this is the level of effort of storytelling that we're putting into this, man, I'm really over it already because, again, like you mentioned with Cena and Lesnar, they did what they did at All Out, much more inferior to what they did in Extreme Rules 3 years ago. So what's the point?
Yeah, I mean, I thought the match was good. I think the reason they didn't give too much away is because they're obviously going to drag this out a little bit longer. So they didn't want to give everything away here. So I kind of get it if this is not going to be the end. I thought coming in that this was going to be possibly a one and done, but that's obviously not the case. Yeah, I mean, Copeland kicking out of all that stuff, and then it takes 1 spear. I think he pinned Cash to win the match. Was pretty ridiculous. But, you know, it's par for the course with Adam Copeland. I mean, when he beat Malachi Black last year in the cage match, which he should not have won, broke his fucking leg and still won the match, which was that was ridiculous enough. So, I mean, I'm not really surprised by that. But yes, that was very, very ridiculous. But we got, you know, the surprise. I wasn't expecting Beth to come out and be there. Maybe I should have, because I think Dax name dropped her on TV in their promo the week before.
Yeah.
But I wasn't expecting her to be there, so that was kind of interesting. And then obviously getting heat on FTR. They lost, but they got their heat right back by doing what they did when the match was over. So Copeland now is going to go away, which obviously he is, and apparently he's going to be filming something. So I don't know how long he's going to be gone for. I mean, it'll give Christian a chance to maybe finally get that singles match with Nick Wayne whenever he gets medically cleared. But I thought the match itself was good. It was not some blowaway classic, you know, all-time classic between these two great teams, but maybe they'll shoot for that the next time they wrestle. But I think to open the show, as an opener of the show, it was good despite the ridiculousness of the finish, which was quite comical.
Yeah, you mentioned Copeland is going away for a little bit. I don't know what he's filming, but you know, that made the rounds on social media today and through the dirt sheets. God. People thinking that he's leaving AEW to go back to WWE to be John Cena's last opponent. I'm like, you guys are absolutely fucking ridiculous. I don't know where you're getting this information from. I don't see that happening, and I don't see AEW not bringing him back. Like, where are they getting this information from?
Well, here's because people thought that he was. They were under the impression that his contract was up in October of this year. And evidently, I believe his contract is up in October of next year. But let's just say his contract was over in October of this year. I'm sure Tony Khan has an infinite amount of respect for Adam Copeland, but Adam Copeland missed a long time with that broken leg. So you don't think that if Tony Khan thought that he was going to leave and go back to WWE, he wouldn't be tacking time on to that contract? Like, he ain't going nowhere.
He was out for 7 months with that, wasn't he?
At least. So, yeah, he ain't going nowhere. And he's certainly not going to be back if he ever does go back to WWE, which I honestly don't think he is. I think when he's done with AEW, he's done. But he's certainly not going to be John Cena's last opponent. Because I was getting questions about that last night. I talked about it on my stream as well. It's like, I saw this blowing up on social media. I'm like, where the hell did this come from? I'm like, people manufacture these alternate realities in their head. And then when it doesn't happen, they'll be very disappointed. But no. Adam Copeland is not wrestling John Cena in his retirement match in December, which is a shame because he is one of Cena's greatest rivals. And I'm sure if you would have put the two of them in the ring together this year, they would have had a very good match.
Yeah.
It's not possible, and it's not happening. So, yes, we can put that one to bed.
Well, maybe by the time we get WrestleMania in Saudi, maybe Edge would come back and Cena is lured out of retirement by the many, many billions of dollars that they're making there, and we get that match in Saudi Arabia. Who knows? Possible.
Yeah, that would probably go about as well as that tag match did in 2018 with DX and the Brothers of Destruction.
Nobody's off the table, bro. You gotta include everybody. So yeah, that was the opening match. Christian, I don't know what he goes on to do. Like you mentioned, the matriarchy here, because there was a segment last night where he took his luggage. They had a pre-tape that happened at the pay-per-view. Christian was icing his neck. Copeland says he's got to go home and take care of his family. I can't allow this to happen to my family anymore. And then Christian said something along the lines of, yeah, you go take care of your family. I don't really have mine anymore. I don't have one of my own. And then Edge told him, yes, you do. And they shook hands, and then Edge went on his way. But does he go back to wrestle Nick Wayne? I'm assuming that is a clear direction that they could go. But to me, they seemingly deaded that, and they moved the matriarchy onto whatever they're doing with Luchasaurus. And I don't know what's going on there. They didn't really explain why Luchasaurus is now out of that group and now back with Jack Perry. It's like all over the place.
Well, no, I mean, they were there on Saturday. I mean, they were the ones who, I think Kip Sabian was the one who handcuffed Copeland to the ropes. So, I mean, they were out there. So it's very much still alive. And they have to do Christian and Nick Wayne. Nick Wayne, I don't know when he'll be medically cleared from the broken foot. Should be very soon. So, yeah, I mean, at some point we have to get the match between them. I don't know if they would do it at Wrestle Dream maybe. It all depends on when Nick Wayne comes back. But for as long as they were together, how do you not do a singles match between them at some point? And when you do that match, Nick Wayne should win.
Yes, I agree. So yeah, hopefully that's the direction. And that was the open of All Out on Saturday afternoon. We go from that into Big Bill and Eddie Kingston. I hated. Oof is a good way to put it. Yeah,
woof is the right word.
How many woofs are on the back of Braun Breaker's new shirt? Just multiply that by fucking the amount of time this match went.
This was well, look, they made the decision. Tony Khan made the decision that he wanted to save Eddie Kingston's return. Nobody would see him until they bought the pay-per-view and they would see him at All Out. So it was a way to get people to tune into the show, which I don't think anybody tuned into the show just for that, but it was another attraction for the show. Fine. There was really no build up to this whatsoever.
They didn't sell any extra pay-per-views by announcing him on the show.
No, not one. But that was the idea behind doing it this way. And so Eddie comes out and they have the match, and it's not very good. There was sloppiness in the match. People didn't really seem to care, which again, why would they? Because there was no buildup whatsoever. There was no personal issue between the two of them, other than they're both from New York. That was the extent of it. But obviously the worst part of the entire thing was the finish. And Eddie I believe he had caught him earlier with a spinning back fist and didn't win. So then there was an exposed turnbuckle. Big Bill gets sent face first into I think it was the post. I think he hit the top of the post.
Yeah.
Eddie rolls him up and he kicks out. And now Bill is on his knees, and Eddie, this is the finish now. Eddie is going to throw another Hurricane, which is the spinning back fist, and he throws it and he misses him. He just whiffs. Okay, he can play for the Mets. So he threw the back fist, it missed. Tony Schiavone on commentary. Okay, commentary says it missed.
Oh, he missed him.
But the thing is, there was a spot earlier in the match where he went to give Eddie a black hole slam and bungled it. It didn't go right, and he redid the spot. So I'm like, well, if this is the finish, they've got to redo the spot. No. He misses him. Bill goes down anyway. Tony Schiavone says he missed it. Eddie Kingston covers Big Bill, and he pins him, and he wins the match. Awful.
Bro, Eddie was done after that. He was like, fuck this shit.
Awful. Just terrible.
A little insider tip for you guys, man. When a commentator says Oh, he didn't get all of that. He's basically calling it a botch without.
No, he didn't say he didn't get all of it.
I'm just
he
letting
said
you
he
know.
got none of it.
I know.
He got,
but somebody else there said, "Oh, he grazed him," or Excalibur says he might have grazed his forehead. Like, bro, he didn't graze shit. What are you talking about?
he'd been grazing in the field with the cows. Yeah, he didn't graze anything here. Please. So it was just very bad. It was very, very bad.
Tony
Tony
didn't sell one extra pay-per-view for Eddie Kingston being on this show. Tony didn't sell one extra ticket for Eddie Kingston being on the fucking card. And what I looked at here is they're missing Ospreay, they're missing Swerve, they're missing Kenny Omega, 3 huge baby faces. Instead of bringing Eddie Kingston back in the light of missing huge baby faces, such as the names that I just mentioned, you bring him back to pair him with Big Bill, and then to pair him up with another fellow New Yorker and Hook because of their New York connection. And now Eddie Kingston, instead of going and doing something like a top baby face, because everybody fucking loves Eddie Kingston, they bring him back for this. It goes as bad as you described, Jason, and then they don't have him show up on Wednesday to cut an impassioned promo about being back. They just place him on Collision to fucking tag team with Hook against Big Bill and Brian Keith. I don't know how you're dropping the ball on Eddie Kingston coming back after 16 months and think this is the best way to bring back potentially one of the biggest baby faces that you currently have at your disposal on that roster. I think that's awful.
Yeah, I don't know why after 16 months away and as beloved as he is to that audience, why they didn't give him a live microphone in the middle of the ring last night. They just announced that he's going to be on Collision teaming with Hook against Big Bill and Brian Keith on Saturday. Why wouldn't you put a microphone where he shines the most? And even if it doesn't necessarily tie into Big Bill and you have them like interrupt the promo, which would make sense. But even if it was literally, hey, Eddie, you've been gone for so long. This is your moment. Here's a mic. Go out there for 10 or 12 minutes and just speak to the people. Like, why wouldn't you do that?
I don't know. The show was booked in fucking 2 hours last night before the show. I don't know.
Nice. That one was very puzzling to me. I mean, they did the thing with Jurassic Express, which we'll talk about. They weren't on the show last night either because they're saving them for the anniversary show next week. So there were a lot of missing faces last night. It was very noticeable.
Yeah, I don't know. The two of the bigger moments that happened at the pay-per-view, people want to see a follow-up for. Yeah. I don't know why they're not on the following Dynamite. It's just very bizarre to me. But Eddie Kingston beat Big Bill, and now we're getting it again on Collision as he's teaming with Hook against the Bad Apple and Big Bill. So we got more of that on Saturday night. If anybody cares to watch that on your Saturday night, I'll be watching No Mercy. By the way, I don't know about you guys. MJF and Mark Briscoe. This was a tables and tacks match. This went 18 or so minutes. And the most I'll say about this is the following. I've said my piece on this. I don't really want to reiterate myself, but it pains me to see MJF in matches like this, Jason, because I just feel like it's so beneath him. I feel like out of everything that's happened on this roster with the amount of injuries they are going through right now, and I know MJF's got a busy schedule. He's filming Violent Night 2. He's got a honeymoon to go on more than likely. Hopefully he comes back and they position him with that fucking contract to cash in and hopefully win the world championship, because what he said last night, the promo that he cut that they pre-taped at the pay-per-view, it was a very intriguing promo. I don't know what he means. He's going to come back more dangerous. He's going to come back potentially with some muscle behind him. Maybe he's going to reach out to some old friends and be the MJF of old. I don't know what that means.
This is the new thing, by the way, because MJF was also not live on the show last night.
Yes.
So he was another one that was missing. But it feels like after all these pay-per-views now, we have the obligatory MJF like sitting on the stairs backstage from the previous weekend promo that we get. So that's like the new thing now.
Well, he probably told Tony, "You got me going through this shit. I'm not coming to work on Wednesday. I'll see you the following week."
Yeah, I mean, as far as him potentially bringing him back up, I mean, that could be a direction they go in. I know he's popped up in MLW a few times,
Yep.
interacting with Hammerstone.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes you wonder if maybe that could be potentially a direction they go in. But yeah, I mean, the sense you get from the promo that they aired last night is that he's going away for long enough that he will not be at Wrestle Dream, and then I don't even know about Full Gear, because we have Wrestle Dream, we have Full Gear, and then we have World's End.
Yeah.
So Wrestle Dream, I'm sure he's not going to be there. Will he be at Full Gear? Will they keep him out a little bit longer? Because I've been thinking this whole time that they may wait until World's End and maybe they have him invoke the contract in advance of World's End, and that's our main event on that show, and he wins the championship there.
Yes. That's what I said last night too.
Yeah.
As far as that, I'm curious to see what they do with him, because I do think that they need him now more than ever, and they're missing obvious star power. Secondly, it's beneath MJF. I know that MJF threatened to burn Mark Briscoe. I know there was a back and forth there as far as some cheap shots at Jay Briscoe and whatever, that really amounted to. Did it really need to get into a tables and tax match? Did it really need to lead into this? I don't know. Tony loves his plunder. But MJF goes to show you that he could wrestle any type of match that they throw at him, and he is one of the more sound performers in the business. He's got the best dog collar match in AEW history. He's got the best Iron Man match of all time, maybe. Never mind in AEW history, but the guy can do multiple styles, and he shows you how versatile he is. I just don't think that them using MJF in this way is the best use of MJF. And what pains me more now, looking back at it, which is, I'm glad we're doing this show on Thursday, because on Tuesday we probably wouldn't have made this point. You bring Mark Briscoe into this match with MJF, and this is what I fucking hate about this place. You have Mark Briscoe go 18 minutes with MJF. MJF is, to me, the best AEW world champion that they had, the longest reigning AEW champion of all time. You haven't beaten a former world champion, and then following this match on Wednesday, you have him in a 6-man tag teaming alongside Hologram and Orange Cassidy against the Don Callis family. And instead of, again, putting a microphone in Mark Briscoe's hand, exclaiming to everybody that he beat MJF, how important it was for him to beat MJF, what he wants to do next, he should get a world championship match as far as I'm fucking concerned against Adam Page. They did none of this, Jason. They followed up on none of this, and they put him in nothing on Wednesday.
Well, they did put a mic in his hand. He was in the back, and he acknowledged that, he took care of MJF, and now it's on to the next thorn in his side, which was Don Callis. And that's what led into this, the whole trios match thing, which, of course, was quite the downgrade from beating MJF at All Out. So he did get some promo time in the back on the show last night. But yeah, I didn't get the sense from watching it that they necessarily have something significant planned for him, like a big Wrestle Dream match, right? Did they set anything up for him at Wrestle Dream? No.
No, he beat a former world champion. You'd think he'd actually be in contention for Hangman Page now.
Well, but MJF also, it feels like he's in the middle of a losing streak. So we'll see where that ends up going, because he lost to Hangman, he lost to Mystico on Friday, he lost to Mark Briscoe.
Well, but
we didn't even mention.
Does Hangman even care about Briscoe anymore? He didn't even show up.
Does Hangman care about Briscoe?
Yeah, I mean, after all that time, like, when MJF was battling Briscoe and Hangman was involved there, and he came to his rescue, a few times. Where is Hangman now in regards to Mark Briscoe? He's not they have nothing to do with each other. Like you would think that Hangman says, "Thank you for your contributions on taking care of MJF. I owe you one now."
No, but actually what would have made more sense was for him to, when he opened the show in that promo last night backstage, for Hangman to go, I came out weeks ago and I talked to MJF about you need to earn it, right? If you want to challenge me for my championship, you need to earn it. And there is someone who earned it, and his name is Mark Briscoe, who beat MJF at All Out. So if I'm going to have myself an open challenge, I can only think of one man deserving of a shot at the AEW World Championship, and that man is Mark Briscoe. And you do Mark Briscoe against Hangman Page, which Briscoe would not win, but at least then it would kind of make sense. Like he beat a former world champion, and so if anybody deserves a shot at the title over Lee Moriarty, I know. It would, but you see you know what the problem is? You know what the problem is? Mark Briscoe was not born in Pittsburgh.
No.
If he was born in Pittsburgh, then he would have had himself a title match last night.
Well, you know who is from Pittsburgh and wasn't on the show last night?
Oh, I know. And I think that pretty much confirms that she's not coming back.
Yes.
If she wasn't even mentioned, she wasn't even in the building, she wasn't there, that pretty much seals the deal as far as her future.
As far as this match, I mean, it was entertaining to an extent, but there's only so much gore and only so much plunder that I could see from AEW. And what bothered me, Jason, is the fact that we got this, and we got MJF bleeding and going through fucking tables with tacks on it and moves on tacks in the ring and everything else that they did. And then an hour later, we got Darby and John Moxley bleeding, stabbing each other with forks and lighting each other on fire. It's like, if you didn't do what you did here in the MJF match and you just left it to those guys to do the plunder, it actually would have been a little bit more, hey, man, this is great. This is exactly what we needed. But you add plunder on top of plunder, it actually starts taking away from everything else.
Yeah, I mean, for all the stuff I did like about the show, and I said this, like, it's not for me.
No.
Like, I don't derive any sort of pleasure when I see something like that. It's one thing if you're having, like a hardcore match or a no holds barred match, and somebody brings out a sack full of thumbtacks, and it's like one of the big moments of the match. When you go into it and you already know coming into it, it's tables and tacks, right? And the first thing Mark Briscoe does is he has 4 buckets in the ring, 1 bucket in each corner filled with thumbtacks. And before the match even begins, the entire ring is filled with thumbtacks. Like at one point, they were sliding on them like they were ice skating. There were so many thumbtacks on the mat. And now it's just a matter of, backdropping and body slamming people on thumbtacks. And I give them both a lot of credit because they went in there and they took a lot of punishment, and God bless them. But it's not for me. I don't get anything out of that as a fan watching that. Like what? I don't know if it's just a matter of me being numb because they do it so often. Because there are times where some of the blood and gore is okay and it can make sense, but maybe I'm just so desensitized to it on these shows that it doesn't matter to me. It doesn't do anything for me. And so Mark Briscoe got a big win over MJF. I'm not sure it's going to make a lick of difference to his future. But that was the stipulation they wanted to use to blow off this big feud that's been going on for a few months. So this is what AEW does. And like you said, when you have a coffin match later in the show where people are going to be bleeding and trying to set each other on fire and doing all these crazy things, I don't know why you would want to have a similar type of match go on earlier in the night before that match.
Yeah, I'm very desensitized to it. Briscoe wins. They failed to follow up beating a former world champion. In my opinion, Mark Briscoe should at least be set up, even though it would be predictable for a shot at Adam Page and the world championship. But they got him focusing on the Don Callis family now and teaming with Hologram alongside Orange Cassidy, who returned last night as well.
You know what? Predictable? Yeah, sure. It would have been predictable and matches in WWE and AEW with the champion that the champion's not going to lose the title. It's all in how you build to that match.
Yeah.
You could still tell that story. I mean, dude, you could have Hangman and Mark Briscoe could have closed out the show in a big 20-minute main event. And you could have had promos from both guys in the back sprinkled throughout the show. You could have shown Mark Briscoe before each commercial break in the back on one knee praying and, paying honor to his late brother and getting ready for the biggest match of his career. And cutting a promo and not being overly goofy and cutting a promo about the importance of this and how much this means to him, and build a story throughout the entire 2 hours. And predictable as the finish might be, you know what? They probably would go on to have a more meaningful championship match because of it. And then they could shake hands when it's over. And it's like, you know what? They had a great match and they built that story throughout the show. So yeah, predictable, sure. But that would have been a much better idea. And it would have made more sense. You have your world champion in the main event, not second seg of the show.
Yeah, we'll see what they do with Briscoe. Maybe he gets a shot at Kyle Fletcher in this TNT championship. I have no idea. I'm assuming they'll be setting up Kenny Omega and Kyle Fletcher eventually when Omega comes back. But
your favorite is getting a shot at the TNT championship next week.
Well, we'll get to that. It's bigger than Shawn Michaels and Undertaker retirement. Their career versus streak match at WrestleMania 26. That's what Tony's thinking. Anyway, Hurt Syndicate, Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin, MVP against the Demand, Ricochet, Bishop Khan, and Toa Leona. Don't you actually have to be in demand, Jason, to actually call yourself the Demand?
I suppose. They're not there yet.
No, they're not there yet. No.
But you would hope with the big win here, maybe they'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get to that because the follow-up here was also very lame as well, but the Demand actually got the victory here over the Hurt Syndicate, and man, MVP is quite the advocate. He was given the task to go out there and take the pinfall, and he took the pinfall for his 2 guys, Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin. But the match itself, I didn't really care to indulge here, honestly.
It was a TV match.
It was a TV match, 6-man tag team match. Now, you would think coming into this that the Demand would get the win over the Hurt Syndicate, and they would be propelled to a possible Trios Championship, being that they're operating on TV now as a threesome. So that was the direction they were going in. Tony Khan was on social media last night, 2 hours before Dynamite, without his mics working. I don't know if you saw this. It was like amateur hour over there. Him and Renee standing there, and the microphone looks like they're not even plugged in. They don't sound like they're plugged in. And he announces that Katsuyori Shibata is medically disqualified from competing right now. And the original plan of a Trios Championship match between the Demand and the Ops is not taking place. So Tony's grand idea is, being that they beat the Hurt Syndicate at All Out, tonight he's granting them a tag team title match against Brodito. So I looked at that and I'm like, all right, that doesn't really make any sense, because they just beat the most popular faction in the company, and you're putting them in a tag team title match that they didn't earn a shot for, number one. And number two, theoretically, they shouldn't be winning because Brodito's the hottest tag team in the division right now. I don't really see Tony disbanding that unit right now. So we get to Dynamite last night. We got a fine tag team title match. And Ricochet costs his team, because of stupidity, a loss and the tag team championships. And I got to fix you, because StreamYard, look at this. StreamYard's got stay in studio. Are you still there? Yes, I'm still here. I don't believe they did that with Jesse on Wednesday too. I don't know. So Ricochet costs his team the tag team titles, and they lose, Jason, coming out of Dynamite last night. So this was one of the more counterproductive things that I think Tony Khan has done in recent memory, especially with three guys that you're clearly trying to build up as, you know, a unit and credible. I don't know what you thought of that last night, but there were definitely ways to work around that. And I don't think he went about it the right way last night, because how are you going to have them beat the Hurt Syndicate and then come around and lose, and they go right back to being losers? It doesn't do anybody good.
Well, I mean, look, it didn't bother me as much as it bothered you. First of all, I don't know if the Shibata thing is legit. It felt like a storyline injury to me, and maybe this was always the plan, but maybe it wasn't, and maybe they were put on the spot, and this is what he came up with as an alternative. I'm not saying that I would have put them in a tag team championship match last night, but they went out there, they lost. The right team won, because Brodito was just the better team. I mean, I like the Gates of Agony, and they're on the ascent as compared to what they were doing a year ago, but the right team won that match last night. And the way I look at it is, are they in a better position now than they were 6 months ago? The answer is yes. They are in a better position now. They're getting more television time. They did get that win over the Hurt Syndicate. They had a competitive match with the tag team champions last night. They lost. I would not be putting the belts on them right away. So them not winning the championships, I think, actually was the right move. Again, maybe I wouldn't have done the match in the first place, but I still feel like the Gates of Agony, they are still in a very good position, and they could still yet end up winning the tag belts, although I think they're probably just waiting, you know, whenever Shibata comes back, they'll probably get a trios match, and I don't think there's any guarantee they're going to win the trios titles. They may wrestle for them. I don't think that means they're going to definitely win them. They could. But it didn't bother me as much. I don't think they're like dead in the water or anything like that. I think they had, coming off that win, they had a competitive match with the champs, the very popular tag team champions, and they lost. And like you said, they could blame it on the stupidity of Ricochet and not even anything that they did. I don't know if that's going to lead to dissension. They just formed the group. I don't know why it would lead to any kind of dissension there. But yeah, I mean, they're fine. They're fine right now. I mean, I don't look at it as any kind of mortal blow to the Gates of Agony, because 6 months ago, these guys weren't even visible on TV, and they're still in a good position. It's just a matter of, okay, where are we going with them from here? You put them in this match and they lost. First Dynamite coming out of the pay-per-view, but what is the direction? What are they doing at WrestleDream? You know, where are they when we're heading into Full Gear? Are they champions? Are they wrestling for the championships? Or are they back to Collision and they're just not doing anything? Because if they're back to Collision and they're not doing anything, then this was a complete waste of time. But I think it's too early to say that.
Yeah, I mean, we sparked a little bit of a discussion about this on my stream with Jesse last night when we covered Dynamite. We were just kind of thinking back. We went back to the ladder match that happened at All Out here. And if the Bucks won the tag team championships like I had thought they were going to do, then Brodito wouldn't be the champions coming into Wednesday. I thought the Bucks were going to win the championships. So if they wanted to do the Gates of Agony and Brodito on this show without the titles, if that was the direction they went, Gates of Agony should have beat Brodito. And that would have been a nice way to follow up after beating the Hurt Syndicate. They clearly didn't go that way. They could have made this a non-title match and had a time limit or a fuck finish of sorts and then kind of resume and build from there instead of just giving them an outright loss to the tag team champions, because to me, perception is everything. You want your stars that you're building up to win matches. So they didn't really do that. And I don't look at that as, building stars up as losing.
But I don't look at it as also that because they lost one match, you're now building up new stars. Like, they got to win on the pay-per-view, which was the more important match, even though this was a title match. But they got the big win over the Hurt Syndicate, which was, previously the nearly unbeatable Hurt Syndicate. Of course, MVP took the fall, which I said that was going to happen because they're just terrified to have Bobby Lashley or Shelton Benjamin lose a match. Them losing one match here, though, doesn't mean that they're not still being built up. It's not like, I hate when people do that when they go, oh, this guy lost a match, so they're buried, right? Because people do that all the time. Yeah. I don't look at like the Gates of Agony are not buried, and they're not. No. It's not like the win at the pay-per-view is automatically negated because they lost to Brody King and Bandito. But the key is going to be in the follow-up because they did lose last night, so now they have to rebound. So what does Tony do with them next week? And what does he do with them at WrestleDream? That's the key right there. That will tell the tale for how the rest of their year is going to go and whether or not that win on Saturday was actually meaningful or if it didn't mean shit.
And someone in my chat brought up last night, and I know Hook kind of distanced himself away from the ops, and they had him cut that promo on a skyline in New York City somewhere a couple of weeks ago. But Samoa Joe told him, I made the decision to replace you with Hobbs when you got injured because the ops need to move on, and no matter what you think and no matter how you're feeling about how you were replaced, I will always have your back. Hook and Samoa Joe looked to be on even ground there. Hook understood. He went on his way. He cut that promo, says, now I got to do me. He could have put Hook back in that spot to replace Shibata, or they could have cut a segment with Joe going to Hook saying, hey, man, we need you. I know you got us. I got you. Let's do this. Defending the title against the Demand last night. And then maybe they lose the championship and they develop some sort of thing between Joe and Hook. And maybe that could lead to a fun little storyline there. They didn't even try to explore that. They just moved Hook on to Eddie Kingston and fucking the Bad Apple and Big Bill. So I don't know why they didn't do that or at least explore that. But that was also raised in my chat last night. I thought that was an interesting idea. But
yeah, I mean, it's interesting. But I mean, Hook basically was like, yeah, I get why you did what you did, but like the body wasn't even cold. Like you could tell, like in the promo, he was bothered by that. So I don't know that he necessarily, even though Joe's saying we'll have your back, I don't know that Hook necessarily wants to be associated with them. So I never even thought about that. It never even crossed my mind because they pretty much established he wants to go out on his own. Yeah. That and after what they did on Saturday, they now have him linked up with Eddie Kingston. So that's just a totally separate story. It would have been interesting if, let's say, they did what you suggested and he took that spot and then intentionally dropped down off the apron.
Yes.
And wasn't there for the ops the way he feels they weren't there for him. And that cost them the belt, but that would turn Hook heel. And that's not what they want to do. They want to have Hook with Eddie Kingston. So that's the choice that Tony made.
A fun idea to think about. It's just, again, neither one of these companies, both AEW and WWE, do not take risks. So it was just a fun little idea. Someone in the chat last night mentioned to me, and I thought that was interesting. But yes, the Demand beat the Hurt Syndicate at the pay-per-view. Mercedes and Riho. They went 17 minutes. Mercedes obviously got the very, very predictable win over Riho. And I don't know what you want to say about this, but
I mean, it was just there. What I said about it was what I said before the pay-per-view even happened. I mean, it was a warm body for Mercedes to beat because we all know where this is headed in a few weeks. She's going to set the record. She'll probably have another big celebration on TV. Right? She's had a few of those before. She'll toast with some champagne, and I mean, there's not much else to say about it. I mean, the match itself, I mean, it was a fine match. It's not the best Mercedes title defense she's had all year. She's had some really good ones. This is not among the best that she's had, but Riho looked a lot better than she did in that tag match a few weeks ago when they were at the 2300.
Yeah.
So she looked better in this match, but I mean, again, it went exactly the way that everybody knew it was going to go. So, it was perfectly solid, but I wouldn't rank it much higher than that.
No, it was just there for me. Very predictable. I don't know who Mercedes is going to defend that championship against next. I don't know. I had people coming to me with names such as Dakota Kai maybe coming on in and challenging in an open challenge, or Shayna Baszler, or
another open challenge.
More open challenges. I don't know, bro.
We got away from the open challenge gimmick in these companies for a while, and now
back.
we got Sammy on SmackDown, and now we got the open challenge with Hangman, and we got the open challenge here. We got the open challenge with the TNT title. You want to throw another one in there?
No, I don't actually. I don't want to.
Then I wouldn't even. Don't even suggest it. Then don't even bring it up.
I guess we'll mention this here because this woman's got 10 belts and she's looking to add 2 more. AEW last night via Tony Khan and a special announcement where he didn't blink once. The man doesn't blink. I think he's an android. He announced, Jason, we have new women's tag team championship title belts. We don't know what's going.
Well, they've had new women's tag team title belts for like a year.
Yes, he's had them made.
We just didn't see them until last night.
Yes, they look identical to the men's tag team titles, but miniature. And we don't know how this will be decided, if it's going to be a tournament. I'm assuming it's going to be a tournament, or what teams will be involved in said tournament, or when this championship match will determine who the inaugural champions are. I don't know how you feel about it. I've been very vocal about this, whether it's on my platform or on social media, about women's tag team championships, or just the idea of adding more titles on top of titles. You got one woman carrying around 10 titles, 9 of which don't even belong to the fucking company, and everybody else in the company has championships that aren't really being booked as prestigious. I felt like the trios championships harmed the men's tag team championship division, and I feel like this is being looked at as a great thing. And this is just my opinion. It has nothing to do with Jason. I said this last night with Jesse. I'm going to say it again here tonight. I feel like AEW introducing women's tag team championships is their answer to basically harming the division so bad, because they wanted to give everything to Mercedes and everything to Toni Storm to get that match at Allin. And they legitimately fed every single woman to Mercedes and Toni Storm just to get that match to happen in Texas. And now there's nobody left. Everybody seems to be not a credible challenger. Toni has no challengers before she lost the title to Stat. Mercedes basically has nobody to defend that championship against that is of any interest. And now all of a sudden, you want to create these championships to create the illusion that your division is still healthy. And now you're basically creating these championships to make sure everybody is, just in the eyes of the fans, still legit. I don't think that's the case, Jason. I feel like this is just another set of championships to put on 2 women to make them feel important. And to me, it's just going to come off as another consolation prize. I don't agree with it. And I said so last night. WWE hasn't booked their championships right in 8 years. What makes you think Tony Khan, who hasn't booked any of his other championships legitimately, is going to book this the right way and make this the right thing? I don't agree with that. I don't think it's going to work.
Well, I mean, the one thing I'll say is they're in a better position to make these tag team championships mean more and do better with them than WWE does, because WWE doesn't even have a division. There is no tag team division with the women to speak of. In AEW, they have been basically pairing people off for months now. So whether it's Sky Blue and Julia Hart, or Penelope Ford and Megan Bayne, Toni Storm and Mina Shirakawa have been friendly with each other. Like, very quietly now for months, they've been pairing people off. And you can actually see some semblance of an actual tag team division. Now, some of those women are also single stars, but they actually have what you could call a division. So that's a step in the right direction from what WWE has done with their women's tag team titles. The problem is there's so many championships as it is, it's just championship overload. I mean, when Mita came out for the main event last night, and I said this on my stream, she had a belt with her. And I'm like, it took me a few seconds. I go, wait a minute. The fuck is that? Like,
she's the interim champion, bro.
Yes, and then I asked a very important question. Now I'm going to pose this to you. Okay, and I want to see what answer you give me. Is the Ring of Honor Women's Television Championship that important that because Red Velvet is hurt, instead of stripping her of the championship, they have to crown an interim champion? Because Red Velvet, I checked, she has not wrestled since June. It is almost October. I don't know how serious the injury is. I don't know when she's due back. Let's assume she's not going to be back for a little bit. Why wouldn't you just strip her of the championship? Why do we need an interim women's Ring of Honor television champion?
Well, the 75 people that are subscribed to the app, bro, they care. They care that Red Velvet needs to get that title match when she returns from injury.
But I see Mina walking to the ring. Legit, it took me like 10 seconds. I'm like, what the fuck what is that? And I'm like, it looks like a Ring of Honor belt. I'm like,
what did you think? She walked out with one belt from catering that she stole from Mercedes?
I thought maybe she stole it from Mercedes. Yeah, I'm like, what promotion does that belong to? But that just illustrates the point. Like, there's just so many titles. And even some of them being Ring of Honor titles. But because they're on the same shows, everybody, it really does. It feels like everybody has a belt. It feels like everybody has a belt. It's just comical. But in looking at the lay of the land with the women's division right now, very well may be right. Tony Khan may not know what the hell he's doing with these titles. We may look back at this in not even 6 months. We may look back at this 3 months after they crown champions and say, boy, what a waste of time that was. But they at least have a good foundation to start from because there are a number of teams. And if he can develop stories out of this, then, and that's an if, but if he can, then it could actually be a net positive. So when I was listing out all the different potential teams, there were at least half a dozen. And maybe more. Does Deonna Purrazzo even work for this fucking company anymore?
Well, Deonna Purrazzo's in a tag team with Taya Valkyrie.
That's what I mean. She was. But, like, is she still employed with this company?
I don't know. I see her on commercials going for a college degree. I don't know what she's doing.
And she has talked about, I think, her college tuition is, I believe, being subsidized by AEW.
That's great.
So I literally have not seen her on television in so long. I couldn't remember if she was still working there or not. So let's assume she is. This could be a great thing for someone like her and Taya.
Sure.
Because
but who's going to care about them when they're on TV when they haven't been given any TV time? So you'll be right back to the fucking point you made. Yes.
That's the point. Now that you have a reason to potentially put them on TV, it might force Tony Khan to actually develop either a story for them or give them more matches on television. Athena and Billy Starks, right? Athena's been banged up.
Sure.
I think he mentioned that coming out of Forbidden Door. So let's say she's hurt. But when she's ready to come back, her and Billy Starks. And if that's a way to get Athena back on television, on AEW television, then so be it. Because she still has the ROH Women's Championship. So there's a good foundation there. Do they need more titles? Of course, they don't need more titles. But I do think that there's a better chance this could work out better than WWE and their women's tag team titles, which are completely and utterly useless. Legitimately, those titles have been useless.
I've been saying it for 8 years. As soon as Mercedes and Bayley lost those championships, I've been saying that for the last 8 years.
Yeah. No, I mean, they've been useless for quite some time. These may end up the same way, but there is at least, I have some mild hope that something positive could come out of this because they've been pairing these women off for months. They've been planning for this. The only reason this didn't happen sooner is because so many women got hurt. So now that he got some of them back, I didn't even mention Harley Cameron, Chris Statlander. Eventually you could do Statlander and Willow. The pieces are there. What Tony decides to do with them, that's the question.
Yeah, you may, just to go back on one of the points you made as well, you know, he also has the indies. I don't know how many female tag teams exist on the indies, but I did see today that Kaden Carter and Casey Catanzaro retweeted AEW's still shot of the picture of the titles when Renee lifted the veil over the titles. So if they bring a team like that in, and then you got Shayna Baszler out there, who obviously has ties to Marina Shafir, if they want to bring her in.
They got the Renegade Twins.
The Renegade Twins, Shayna Baszler and Dakota Kai, they link together. I think they stream together. They used to live together. I mean, that's another pairing there. There are a number of women AEW could use at their disposal to make these titles feel relevant and make them feel like they're a big deal. But like you said, it all goes down to the fact of them needing to tell stories to make these titles feel important, because what we've gotten the last 2.5 months is basically the same thing that we've seen on Monday Night Raw with the Vision and fucking LA Knight and the Usos. Tony Khan's been doing the same thing on Collision and these $500,000 8-woman tag team matches, 6-woman tag team matches, the same names revolving every single week over the last 2.5 months on Collision. Now he's just going to put titles on the line, and most of the teams that we've seen battling in these nothing matches, now they'll be battling over the championships, but nobody knows why they're feuding to begin with. Like, what's the fucking reason? They're just out there throwing them together just to get matches together. We need something of substance and some story. So hopefully that...
If this helps eliminate the all-star matches for random amounts of money, then I'm all for it.
You have high hopes, my friend. High hopes.
No, well, I mean, I wouldn't expect that
right.
those are... Yeah, I wouldn't expect those are going to continue, right? Once they introduce these belts, why would they keep doing them? I mean, at least it'll get us away from that.
Queen Aminata and Jamie Hayter could be a tag team.
I think that this whole thing with Queen Aminata and Tekla may end up with them as tag team partners.
I will see. I like Tekla. She's actually been doing better than Julia, which is shocking.
Don't get me started on Julia.
I know.
Terrible.
I love Julia. Okada, Takeshita, and Mascara Dorada for the Unified Championship here. This was actually one of the better matches of the entire night.
This was, I mean, to me, one of the better matches of the entire weekend.
Yes.
And this was the best match on this pay-per-view. This is my favorite match on this show.
I agree. I agree on all of those points. I will say this. Did not care about this coming in. Thoroughly enjoyed this. Actually shocked Dorada got in and Beast Mortos did not. But I guess, they didn't want to pin Beast Mortos here because of his affiliation with you-know-who. But Mascara Dorada...
Well, they pinned him in the qualifying match.
I know, but like it would just be so blatant for him to win there and then fucking lose here. So it's like, why even bother? Just beat him now.
It would get him a pay-per-view payday.
Sure. Dorada, though, he shocked a lot of people, man. He was the star of this match, and we know how good Takeshita is. And, being if you're an Okada fan, you know how good Okada is. I really haven't found anything interesting about him on AEW television. But if there's one thing, Jason, that AEW does well, and I'm not saying this is the best triple threat match of the entire year because we had 2 that happened at WrestleMania this year, and nothing's going to top either one of those. I would say AEW does triple threat matches pretty fucking good, man. And this was not even the best triple threat match in AEW all year. I feel like the one we got back at Revolution with Speedball, Omega, and Ricochet was a lot better than this. But this was a banger match, very predictable with Okada winning, and I hope that they know what they're doing with Takeshita and Okada, man, because that is a match I'm very interested in just because of how great I think Takeshita is. I don't know where it's going to take place, whether it's going to be a Wrestle Dream, or it's going to be Full Gear, or I said the Continental Classic. The end of the Continental Classic World's End, I think that's the place to do it.
Yeah, Mascara Dorada was the real standout here in this match. Takeshita's always great. Okada, when he wants to, steps up his game. He doesn't happen all the time these days, but when he's got his working shoes on and he's in there with the right person, some of that old Okada will come out. But Dorada, I think Dorada knew, like, okay, obviously I'm losing this match and I'm the low man on the totem pole here, but this is my chance to shine. And he had the crowd up on their feet, multiple times during the match. And again, all 3 of them worked really well together. And yes, you are obviously saving the Takeshita win for a one-on-one match. I'm glad he didn't win here, but it was the right outcome, and it was easily the match of the night. So this to me is where there were some things on the show, like the opener, that was good, and then there was some stuff that wasn't good. But this right here is where it really kicked up to that next gear.
Yeah, what happened last night? They didn't really tease much tension between Okada and Takeshita last night in that 6-man tag team match.
Once I think once during the match. But again, if they're not going to do the match maybe for a couple months yet, can only do so much.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're going to do it at Wrestle Dream, then they should be ramping up. But if they're going to save it for Full Gear, or if they're going to save it for the Continental Classic Finals, probably won't happen until World's End.
Yeah.
So there's only so much you can do. You don't want to, blow it too early. But yeah, so there was a little bit of tension there between them last night. But the focus was obviously on your other favorite luchador.
Yes. I guess we could talk about that here. I was going to save it until we got to the main event because Kyle Fletcher was in the main event. We'll mention it here. Kyle Fletcher came out last night, and he obviously talked about how he's going to be future world champion. and we'll get to him in a little bit as he wrestled Paige on this show. But he came out on Dynamite last night and says he wants to get back on track, and he looks at Hologram, who is 34-0 and hasn't been given a title match, and he's undefeated. Now, coincidentally, Jesse mentioned on my stream last Wednesday that Hologram is 34-0 and he hasn't gotten a title match, but everybody else is just granted title matches out of the blue, out of thin air. Why hasn't Hologram gotten one? So Hologram's getting a championship match next week against Kyle Fletcher for the TNT Championship, and it is labeled Title versus Streak. Now, I said on my end, Jason, when I covered All Out on Sunday afternoon, I felt like AEW was going to put Kyle Fletcher right back into a open challenge mode for the TNT Championship and right back on Collision against guys like Lee Moriarty and fucking AR Fox over there. They put him in a match this Saturday against Commander. Commander for the Open Challenge TNT Championship, but he's got to beat Commander first before he gets the Hologram. You know, we could sit here and make fun of Hologram all we want. It's a figment of Tony Khan's imagination. It's Tony Khan's created character from his E-Fed back in his teen days. That's basically what it is. I look at it, bro, and you know,
are we sure it's not Tony Khan under the mask?
It could be. For all I know, it actually could be Tony Khan. But you know, a lot of people say I'm hard on AEW, bro, and I have no other way about me but to be hard on them, because you look at this 6-year anniversary show, and you look at the years previous that we got, the 5-year anniversary show, the 4-year anniversary show, and we're dealing next week with Kyle Fletcher versus Hologram, and I just look at the dip in quality from what we got now to what we got then, celebrating these anniversary shows. And I look at it and I throw my hands up in the air. I'm like, what happened? Like, I don't know how you feel about it. I just find it to be ludicrous. Like, we're dealing with Hologram and Kyle Fletcher on the 6-year anniversary show. I don't know whether to enjoy this for what it is or just fucking laugh at how far we've come and how low we've sank with AEW. I don't know. Maybe I'm being too hard, bro. I don't know.
Well, look, I mean, there are a lot of people who like Hologram, and apparently in his matches he's over. I don't see all of the matches that he has, like when he's on Collision, but you know, people get behind him and he's a great wrestler, you know, the guy under the mask, and they're telling a story of some kind with him and his evil lucha twin. Now correct me, is it pronounced El Clone or El Clon?
I'm going to say the first one, El Clone.
Clone.
Yeah.
Right, because Clon does just...
Yeah, it sounds awful.
Yeah, it sounds like an ice cream bar. So, El Clone, they've been doing these little... they've been doing these little teasers for him. They had one last night. It was very brief, but it's like all red, and he looks really evil and sinister. So, obviously, one would assume that El Clone is going to arrive next week and cost Hologram his streak.
I don't believe we're talking about this right now.
I feel like I'm 5 years old talking about this, but he's going to cost Hologram his streak, and then they're going to go off into their story. And this is like Tony Khan's Marvel story come to life, you know, where he's got his two comic book characters, and Hologram, he obviously has a personal affection for that character, and then you have El Clone. And I don't know. And by the way, that's a lucha thing. Like, that's where you have like the evil lucha twin, Pentagon and Octagon. Like, it's not like this hasn't been done before. But, you know, Sin Cara and Sin Cara Dark, remember that many years ago? Okay. So, fine. I mean, look, if Hologram, I'm surprised he's had enough sense to wait this long before he breaks the streak. I don't know what else.
Oh no! I said, who said it in the chat? John in the chat says, "Oh, Klondike bar."
Yeah, that's why I said it was like an ice cream bar. That's why I said it sounds like an ice cream bar. No. That's why I said it's a clone or clone. We'll say clone. So I mean, look, I don't give a shit about any of this personally, but Kyle Fletcher is not losing the TNT. Can you imagine Kyle Fletcher loses the Hangman at All Out? And then the first thing he does coming out of the pay-per-view is he loses to Hologram.
Bro, he came out of the pay-per-view and the sickos thought he's a main event guy now. He's back to feuding with fucking Hologram and Commander. Right back on Collision in front of 185,000 people.
Well, that was always going to be the
challenges.
Case. Yeah, but that was always going to be the case because he's got the TNT title. Okay, well, if he's not going to... No, it doesn't have to be, but they're waiting for Kenny Omega to come back. He's going to get the match with Kenny Omega.
For him to lose to Kenny Omega.
No. See, that's the key. When he wrestles Kenny Omega, he needs to beat Kenny Omega because he lost to Hangman. Now, him losing...
that's going to make him a star, though.
Well, no, but the idea is that working with these people, with these different top stars, will over time make him a top star because he gets to hang with the top names. Now, I'm going to skip ahead here. He hung with Hangman in the main event, and he lost, which we all knew he was going to lose, but he hung with him. Now, if he goes and wrestles Kenny, it's not enough to just hang with Kenny Omega. He's got to win. He wasn't going to beat Hangman because he wasn't going to be the champion. Kenny, there's no excuse. Just because Kenny comes back doesn't mean Kenny has to win. It would be a much bigger statement for him to go in there and beat Kenny Omega. If he goes in there and loses to Kenny Omega, then that I disagree with. So we'll see what they do. But that's what it's building to. I don't know. Kenny's in Japan right now. He's at some gaming convention this week that kicked off today, I think. Forgot the name of it. So I don't know.
He's clearly got enough time on his hands if he's arguing with Gail Kim on social media.
Yeah, he's busy arguing with people on social media. But I don't know if he's going to be back in time for Wrestle Dream or, again, if he's also doing some medical stuff over in Japan because I know he's all beat up. But when he comes back, they're going to do that match. In the meantime, he's got the TNT title. What else do you expect him to do? He's going to be working with all the Collision Cowboys and all the people that you would expect him to work with until Kenny is ready to come back. But he's got to win. As long as he wins all of his matches, then so be it. But that's the only reason why. They're waiting for Kenny to come back. So I at least get that. But he's not losing to Hologram. The Hologram and El Clone stuff, Hologram mostly spends his time on Collision. So this week he was on Dynamite. So does this mean, well, why am I even asking? We all know where this feud is going to play out. This feud is going to play out on Saturdays. It's not going to play out on Wednesdays.
Bro, can you imagine, man, that you and I do this for a living, and we have to now go into Wrestle Dream, and we have to shell out $40 on HBO Max or however you're ordering your pay-per-views now, and we have to $50 to some people to see El Clone versus Hologram at Wrestle Dream. Do you believe this is what we're paying for now?
Yeah, and they're going to eat it up. I mean, they love this shit. They think it's the greatest thing ever.
I don't know, man.
I had a whole thing the other day with somebody in the comment section somewhere where they were like trying to insist to me that this has been the best creative year since the beginning of AEW. They are firing on all. Firing on all cylinders. They
are. The brain rot on wherever it's coming from, man. In the sicko community, I'd love to know the source of it, man, because this is the worst year, in my opinion, creatively. Nothing makes sense.
Well, look, the point is, like, there are things I like, there are things I don't like, but even I cannot sit here. I don't know how anybody can sit here and say that this is, out of these 6 years, the best year creatively out of anything they've done in AEW. I mean, it's just not true. But there are people that are going to love it. I mean, the audience, I'm sure if they do that match at Wrestle Dream, they'll be going nuts for El Clone, and they'll be going.
It's all. What happened? Did Salamonster got kicked out of the fucking stream, bro? You believe this? StreamYard cut him out of the stream. We'll wait for him to get back. This happened last night with Jesse too, by the way. I don't know what happened. Hopefully he realizes to come back. Hopefully he realizes to come back. I don't know what happened, man. TK yanked him because he was fucking talking about hologram. I don't know, man. Hopefully he knows to come back. I hope he's still watching me. Solo Clone is coming. I don't know, man. Hopefully he comes back. I apologize for this, man. I apologize. Oh, man. Did he text me? Let me see. I don't know, man. Hey, we were in the middle of the All Out discussion. We were getting ready to wrap up with the last 3 matches on the show here. He still hasn't joined in yet. There he is.
Fucking L clone.
I don't know what happened, man.
Fucking guy hacked my stream here because he didn't like what I was saying about him. Fuck L clone.
I don't know what StreamYard just absolutely cut him out of the stream chat. That's what
I had one of those Orange Cassidy media errors that he had last night on Dynamite with his Tron.
Was that legit, by the way? I wasn't sure if that was legit.
I'm pretty. Yeah, of course it was legit.
People were telling me that was part of his entrance.
No, it wasn't. It had the Orange Cassidy Tron, like his logo, and then it just went red and it said media offline. That wasn't on purpose.
You were talking about them eating this shit up, and you were talking about some sicko that was telling you that this is the greatest creative year of all time, and that's where you got cut off.
Yeah, and then they hacked me, and then I disappeared, but now I'm back. So anyway, the point is, what I was saying is that when this streak is over, I think that is pretty much the beginning of the end of our friend Hologram.
What do you mean? We're not going to see him on TV anymore?
No, I mean, that's like his big claim to fame, and when he doesn't have the streak anymore, I mean, where does he go from there? What's Tony going to do with him? He'll keep him around, but
I don't know. He'll probably wrestle all the luchadors on Collision. What is he going to do?
Yeah, he'll wrestle Commander and he'll wrestle the Beast Mortos, and that'll be the extent to which he's pretty much doing anything.
Well, that's the deal there with Kyle Fletcher. That's what you guys got to look forward to on Dynamite next week.
Leopoldo says Solo got kidnapped by the sickos. They threw a sack over my head and they took me away.
How dare he talk about our guy El Clone?
Like Darby with Moxley, they threw a fucking sack over my head and they started dragging me off. I fought them off though. Yeah, they're all like 75 pounds. So I fought them off, but I'm back now.
You don't want to upset those sickos, bro. They may take the chloroform to your mouth and just dispose of you as they wish, you know?
It's all good. It's all good.
John Moxley, speaking of dispose, I wish we could dispose of this fucking storyline. John Moxley and Darby Allin coffin match. Like I said before, we got the thumbtacks and tables match. So the plunder here, I just felt a little bit more desensitized to it. This should have been the only thing on the show that had this type of violence to it. But all I'll say about this, Jason, is I understand that they need, and they had a natural story with Darby coming back, climbing Mount Everest, and going into All In to kind of help in the cause, to help Paige win the championship. And then there was a natural story there with Darby and Mox coming out of All In. But the way that I look at it and the way that I describe it was, to me, the Death Riders going into All In, you had Adam Page win the world championship, and he freed that championship from the briefcase. That was the entire storyline. Moxley held the championship captive because he felt like, we don't need this. He's the champion. He's the symbol of a champion, and what the championship is, you don't need to see it. It's going to be hidden away. And he wanted to change the company into a vision and an image that he thought was AEW. That all died at All In. Page killed that. He won the championship. As soon as that championship was free, it was like fucking Transformers and the Energon, from Optimus Prime and Megatron. That was it. After that, to me, the Death Riders was over. The Death Riders were dead, and then they moved on, and they just continued the storyline going because they didn't really know anything else. We saw Page and Moxley wrestle literally the next Wednesday after All In. To me, it died, and it was over at All In. Now we're getting this Darby-John Moxley feud, and I feel like I don't really give a shit. Like, I don't care if Darby beats Mox. I don't care if Darby is looking for revenge on Mox. I got my fandom. Page won the championship. That was it. He ended the championship reign of John Moxley. That's it for me. So at this point, I don't know how you feel. Darby doing anything to Moxley, I just throw my hands up in the air and say, I don't really care if they kill each other, how they kill each other, who comes out on top. I don't care. Darby was clearly the plan before Page got inserted in there because Darby wanted to go climb Mount Everest. If we were talking about Darby pinning Moxley at All In and ending this completely, I wish we could have gone back to that and not have Darby climb Mount Everest and just rewrite the whole story so we don't have to deal with this in the aftermath. But now that we're dealing with that, I don't give a shit.
Well, I mean, based on what they seem to be doing with Hangman right now, it sure seems like they had plans probably for Darby and couldn't do them, and so they put the title on somebody else and didn't have a really great plan on what to do with this other person as the champion. Moxley getting the win here was what I expected. I figured they were going to drag this out for at least one more match. And now I thought it was going to be like an Inferno match or something.
I said the same thing.
I mean, look, not a coffin match. What are they having? I Quit match?
Yeah.
There's no rules. It'll probably turn into an Inferno match. He'll have the flamethrower. They'll do some flaming table spot. It's going to be something ridiculous like that. So Darby will get his win back, and that should put a pin in this, or attack, I guess, if you want to say. And that should be the end of that. And then Darby will move on to whatever Darby moves on to next. And I'm not quite sure what that's going to be, since we have, babyface Hangman as the champion, unless they do Hangman and Darby. I don't know if I see them doing that. But this was kind of like the tables and tacks match, in that it doesn't do anything for me. It's not for me. This is the kind of match you would expect these two guys to have, and it really should have just been left to this match and not earlier in the show. And then you got him with the ear and everything, and it's like, I don't know. I don't know what else. This was not one of my favorite matches.
Bro,
on the
they
show.
did the same spot at Forbidden Door with the fork, the way that they stabbed.
Yes. So this was just a retread of that.
Yes.
Of the matches I liked on the show, this was not one of my favorite matches on the show. So I don't really have a lot to say about it. It went the way that I figured it would, but beyond that, I don't really have anything one way or the other to say about what they did here.
Well, Pac did return, which is always a great thing because we love Pac. You mentioned what Darby does after this. Now, obviously, he's doing this because he wants revenge on Jon Moxley, which is fine. Mm-hmm. After that, we go into World's End. I was actually predicting and piecing together my version of a World's End card. I would go Mercedes Stat for the World Championship. I'm going Kenny Omega. Okada and Takeshita for the Unified Championship. I'm going MJF, Adam Page for the World Championship. I think MJF wins the World Championship from Page at World's End, cashes his contract. He's got this new vision of himself, or new version of himself, rather, and maybe he's got some group behind him, some old friends that he gets in touch with, and we get this evil version of MJF that kind of takes control of the company, and he's more evil than ever before, and he just does things the old way, and it's just really putting a poison over AEW. And I don't know if Ospreay's going to be back for Wembley next year. It may be a long shot. I have no idea how long he's going to take to rehabilitate the neck. Maybe they go and revisit Darby going into next year's All In, and we get MJF holding the championship from World's End up until Wembley in August, and it's Darby versus MJF at Wembley in August for the World Championship. I think Darby and MJF could be the possible direction if MJF wins the championship.
Well, I mean, that's a long time to wait. I mean, what do you do with Darby in the meantime? You could do that. Yeah, I mean, you could do that, but I'm not even looking that far ahead. I'm just trying to figure out what they're doing in these next 2 or 3 months, honestly. That's what I'm trying to wrap my head around, as far as what Hangman's doing at Wrestle Dream and what he's going to be doing at Full Gear. And this is also, I feel like, where it really does hurt, not having Swerve, not having Ospreay, and Kenny is out right now. Jay White, I mean, he's been out for a while. Like, they have some big names that are just out of the picture right now who should be in this world title scene right now, and they're not.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, what do we do now with Hangman heading into Wrestle Dream? And you mentioned Pac. So Pac is back, which at first I had to do a double take, because with that new haircut, and he was wearing clothes.
Street clothes.
I'm like, and somebody, he reminded me of somebody, and I couldn't put my finger on who it was. And then somebody on my stream last night mentioned Ginobili. And I said,
yes,
that's who it is. That's what he reminds me of. Maybe a shorter version, but still. Are we looking at Hangman and Pac? That's how it feels to me. It feels like he's going right back to the Death Riders. Moxley is occupied. Hangman and Claudio is not a world championship match on pay-per-view. I'm sorry. Hangman and Daniel Garcia, don't even get me started, okay? Or Wheeler Yuta. That's not happening. That leaves Pac. Unless you're going to have something go down with Hangman and the Ops, and we get Hangman and Joe. But again, why would Hangman and Joe end up in an issue
Joe
together?
Turning on Hangman would make no sense and defeat the entire reason why he even fought with alongside Page for the entire fucking stretch.
Right. So I keep coming back to Pac, because who else would it be? Hangman's going to defend that title on the 18th. If it's not Pac, who would it be?
Well, that's not a pay-per-view match either.
I would allow it just because I know it would be a great fucking match.
Sure,
but
yes.
I'm not saying you're wrong, and Pac just came back, so him getting a world title match makes as much sense as Wardlow if he was going to get a world title match when he came back. But of all the potential matches here, I would allow it just because I know Hangman and Pac would go out there and tear it up. But there's no other obvious challenger waiting in the wings for him. He's like a man with no real direction right now, ever since he won that title at Globe Life Field, and then he beat MJF, and it's like, okay, now what?
I don't know. I don't know.
Pac, I mean, doesn't Pac feel like it might, that might be the direction here?
It could be. I thought what you thought. I thought they were building towards another Hangman and Moxley match before they announced Darby and Moxley in the I Quit match at Wrestle Dream.
Well, I knew they were going to do Hangman and Moxley, or Moxley and Darby again, just because Moxley beat Darby, so there had to be a rematch. So I pretty much knew that was going to be the case, and then that just left me wondering, well, then who the hell else is there for Hangman to put that title on the line against? They haven't really, again, they didn't do what we talked about before, where it's like, oh, Mark Briscoe, he beat MJF, so let's set something up with him and Mark Briscoe. I mean, I guess they could still do that potentially, but it doesn't feel like that to me.
No. And we just come back to the same problem. All these matches are too predictable. There's nothing wrong with the predictable match as long as the story is great leading into the predictable match. But these matches don't have any stories that are really substantial enough to grab you and for you to invest your time in. And then we get to the match and you know who's going to win before the bell rings. I can't stand that. That's basically up and down this show for the most of the show.
Yeah, and I made one point on my stream last night, and there are probably going to be AEW fans who just look at this and go, "Oh, I don't want a WWE product." I don't look at it as a WWE thing, even though they do this a lot. I look at it as a character building thing, and it's one of the reasons why I'm so sick of the Death Riders and I'm ready to just see them disband. But I really think that if they're going to keep them together, this would help generate interest for me, possibly, in seeing the Death Riders on TV. It's the one thing they never do. We see the Death Riders come out every single week. They play that god-awful music, and they come through the crowd, same way every single week, and Marina Shafir says nothing. And we see Wheeler Yuta and his stupid hair, and we see all this shit every single week, right? And on the rare occasions where we get a promo from these guys, it's usually John Moxley in a pre-tape in the back talking to us, right? Looking into the camera, speaking in riddles, and talking to us. Where I think he went wrong, Tony went wrong, is not having backstage segments that, yes, are in many ways similar to what was done with the Bloodline, that helped establish these and flesh out these characters in the group more. Or we see it every week now with the Judgment Day as another example.
Yes.
We don't get any of that with the Death Riders, right? We don't get any of that. Would that not help if consistently week after week we saw these guys, whether they were in the backstage area, if they were sitting in their truck outside, but we saw them interacting with each other, and you were building these characters and fleshing them. Oh, Pac just came back, right? And so Pac comes in, and again they're interacting, and maybe there's even some tension between some of the members. We don't get any of that, so it's boring.
Hey, where do they hang out in the show? They don't have a clubhouse or a fucking backstage area.
That's why I said the truck.
A boiler room that they hang out in?
They usually come, don't they have like a pickup truck or something that they're usually, it could be anywhere. It could be anywhere in the backstage area. But just taking the time to flesh out the characters that are in the group. Daniel Garcia just joined. So what has Daniel Garcia done? He comes out there. He looks, I don't even know how to describe it. Like, he just looks so out of place.
Bro, he looks
lost.
Looks like he don't even want to be there.
He looks lost. Like, somebody saved me and put me out of my fucking misery. That's the look he has on his face. But like, they just added him to the group, and Pac just came back, and we're not going to know anything about any of these guys. They're going to be lagging behind Moxley the next time they come out of the crowd, and it's going to be more of the same shit. And so if you're not going to take the time to give me a reason to be interested in seeing the Death Riders, then I don't want to see them on my TV when I watch these shows. Why are we still suffering through the Death Riders every single week?
How do you feel when you hear dun 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 dun?
How do I feel? I feel like I want to change the channel. That's how I feel.
The crowd goes fucking silent, bro. You don't hear a single person breathing in the crowd.
It sounds like a funeral procession song. That's what it sounds like. I mean, Yeah.
Then you hear that. Then you hear that fucking guitar slide on the chords, bro. It's like, oh my god, man! Like, come on. I agree with you, bro. I agree with you. I mean, there's no character fleshed out in any of this group at all.
This is episodic television, so I mean, I understand that they love their wrestling, and that's the most important thing in the world to them. You can get your wrestling, but it's okay to take the top heel faction and build a few segments into the show each week, especially if you're adding new members, to flesh out the characters in some of these stories and make it at least somewhat interesting. We never hear from half these people. They're just there. What's their motivation at this point? Why are they still with Moxley? What's going on here? Explain to us, like in their words, so we know a little bit more about each one of them and why this guy joined and what's Pac been up to in the months that he's been gone. We don't get Pac could show up and be like, what's he doing here? Looking at Garcia, like, what's he doing here?
Moxley hasn't said one fucking thing about losing the championship and why or why not. Does he want it back? Like, does he want the championship back? I would assume he wants the title back, right? Well, so what's his mission statement now that he's lost the title?
I don't know.
You know why well, at least me, I'm very hard on this show, bro. I agree with everything you said there.
All right, I think we've said all we need to say about All Out.
Yeah. Let's let Jurassic Express. Let's talk.
All right, we'll talk
that.
about that.
Yeah, Jurassic Express. They returned after Brodito win the tag team title ladder match. I'm glad that they're back. I thought the vignettes for Luchasaurus returning were very well done. I'm glad that they're back together, and I feel like the tag team division certainly could use a team like that. Now, clearly, they're headed towards a Young Bucks feud, which they've had some bangers before in the past, so I'm excited to see what they do. I would have had them on Wednesday's show last night, but they've opted to put them on the 6-year anniversary show, so it's going to be interesting to see what they have to say and why they're together, and why Jack Perry now all of a sudden is against the Bucks. After the last time we saw him, he was in the Elite, and they were having a celebration of Kenny Omega's birthday with blood and intestines all over it. It's the last time we saw it, and then he lost the TNT title to Danny Garcia, didn't he? It's the last time we saw him, and then he went away. So now he's back.
I believe so.
Now he's back, so it's going to be interesting to see why he's against the Bucks now.
Yeah, and this is the best thing for both these guys. So Jack Perry, they gave him a run as a heel. It didn't work. So putting him and Luchasaurus back together, here's what I like about it. We talked about the tag team division before and how strong it was in 2019, 2020, and 2021. You had the Lucha Bros and the Bucks and just up SCU. I mean, there were so many different teams. And somewhere along the way in the trios titles did have a lot to do with this. The focus was taken away from the tag team division, and what was once the strongest division in the company became the weakest. Now, all of a sudden, it's like things are changing because they have a shitload of teams. And getting back Jurassic Express just adds to that. Copeland and Christian reuniting together. You got the Bucks, you got Brody King and Bandito, and you've got Jet Speed, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, there's so many other teams that they have.
The Los Outrunners.
The Outrunners, not even count. I didn't mention the Death Riders. God, who else? I mean, there's a bunch of FTR. So they have more than solid. I mean, they have a rock solid foundation now in that tag team division where there could be a tag team renaissance in this company if Tony plays his cards right. And Jurassic Express is just another, former tag team champions. It's just another addition to what can now once again be a very strong, robust tag team division in AEW. So that's a positive.
Yeah, I like that move. I think that's going to work out great. And having that theme song back is definitely something that brings back some fonder memories for sure.
That's a great song.
Yeah, it is a great song. You mentioned Stat was going to win the championship. You were proven correct. I was shocked that it actually happened the way that it did. She pinned Toni Storm. She's the new women's champion. The only problem I had with the match was very lame. It was basically a TV match on pay-per-view. But as far as the outcome, the only thing that bothered me was if they wanted Stat to win her first major singles world championship, they should have done a lot more going into it to make it feel special. The fact that they shocked everybody and they gave her that victory the way that they did, and then they followed up with basically not giving her a live mic, expressing how this was the biggest win of her career and she won her first championship and how important it was to her, and they just put her in a random match with Mina, who had nothing to do with the World Championship. She's actually had in 2 World Championship matches, and she lost, and a TBS Championship match against Mercedes, which she lost, and now she's getting another one against Stat. I don't really understand why she was there last night, and she didn't express to us how important it was to her. I don't know how you feel about that, but Stat winning is very, very much deserved because she's been there since day one. I just don't see it as anything more, Jason, than them putting the championship on a babyface that they could beat and that Mercedes is going to beat at World's End because they've had 2 matches before, and the third match I feel like is going to happen in December, and Mercedes is going to win that championship from Stat. That's what I feel.
Well, I mean, we don't know how it's going to end, so I'm not going to prejudge her reign before, any of that plays out. I liked the match, the 4-way match, better than you did. I thought it was a very good match. And again, I was expecting that she was going to win the championship because if we were going to get a title change, I mean, she was going to be the one. I mean, it wasn't going to be Tekla, and it wasn't going to be Jamie Hayter because she's not ready. She's not ready to be back in that spot yet. They haven't built her up properly enough for it. So I liked it, and I'm happy for her. She, I don't think, had challenged for that title for 4 years, I think it was. And she did get promo time last night, not live in the ring. She got some promo time in the back later in the show. So she did speak. I think it was more important, honestly, to get Eddie Kingston in that ring and put a mic in his hand more than anything. I still don't understand why they didn't do that. But as far as her and Mina, yeah, it was random, but it was a means to get her in the main event of the show so they could shoot the angle that we got at the end. I don't even think it really would have mattered who they put her in the ring with. They just wanted to give her a win and then something that would then lead to the Death Riders coming out and this big angle at the very end because they've been teasing for weeks with Wheeler Yuta coming out and giving her advice, and she's using the seatbelt to win her matches. Is she going to join? Right? Daniel Garcia just joined. So they got a new female member also to the Death Riders. And I said this was the DDP on Nitro moment where the NWO had the shirt ready for him and they thought he was going to join. It was as good as done. And then he dropped Scott Hall with a diamond cutter and the place went nuts. Now, of course, this was not quite that moment. And you had all of whatever it was, 2,500 people in the building last night. But that's what this was. This was the tease and then the swerve. And then Stat says no, and then she flips them all off and says, fuck you, I'm not joining, which thank God she didn't join the Death Riders. That's the right move. And that's when Darby comes out with his flamethrower, and that's how they went off the air with the Darby and Mox stuff. So the Statlander thing, I'm happy they put the belt on her. I think Toni Storm is going to go off in a different direction. She was almost catatonic at the end of the match where she lost the championship. I don't know if she's going to be more maybe a focus in the tag team division. Maybe they put her and Mina together as a team. I don't know where they go next with her, but she's going to be fine. She's a made woman. I even said on my show, somebody asked me, who do I think the 4 pillars of AEW are right now in 2025? She's one of those pillars. Toni Storm is one of the pillars of AEW right now.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, that's the position that she has worked herself into. So she's going to be fine, whatever she does. She had the title for so long. It was time to get some new blood in there. And I'm glad it was Statlander. If it only lasts until World's End and Mercedes gets it, I mean, that's probably a good guess, but we don't know. So at least she'll be able to run with it, and we'll see what she does with it. So I like that angle that they did. I like that she didn't join the Death Riders and she turned them down. And now we'll see, I guess, a mixed tag they're doing on the show next week. I think it's Darby and Stat against, is it Marina Shafir and Garcia?
Yeah.
Or Yuta?
I think it's Garcia.
I think, okay. I thought maybe it was Yuta. But anyway, so, yeah, that's the anniversary show next week. We got Hologram and Fletcher. We got the mixed tag. What else did they announce for next week? Anything with Hangman?
Yeah, he's in a 6-man tag team match with the Ops. And Moxley, Claudio, and it might be Pac.
I think it's Garcia, and I think Yuta's in that other match.
Yeah, you might be right. Yeah, either way, it don't matter. It's 2 guys I don't want to watch wrestle anyway.
And then Jurassic Express. Yeah. So,
any thoughts on the Fletcher Hangman match and it going 40 minutes?
Yeah. Oh, I thought the match was excellent. It was definitely too long. It reminded me of the Bandito Hechicero match. Remember, I told you that match went 37 minutes on the Ring of Honor pay-per-view?
Yes.
Because I watched that because they had those technical issues, so they put it on YouTube for free that night. So I watched the match. And it was the same thing where that was a great match, but it was way too long. It did not need to be as long as it was. So this one went 38 minutes, and that's the only criticism I really have about it. It should have been shorter, but beyond that, look, it went the way I thought it would. Kyle Fletcher was not going to win the match. We knew this going in. He hung with the champion as long as he could until he couldn't, and then he lost. But I do think it's one of those situations where he got into the main event of the pay-per-view. He wrestled the world champion. He didn't win. He came out on Dynamite last night and said, I wasn't ready yet, but I will be. That's going to be up to Tony Khan. And how he uses Kyle Fletcher now going forward. Don't squander that great match with Hangman. Don't squander what I'm sure is going to be a great match with Kenny Omega. Like, the pieces are there for him to be one of his top players in 2026. Tony could fuck it all up, or Tony could actually do the right thing. And when you and I are talking a year from now, maybe Kyle Fletcher is the AEW World Champion. But he should be in a better position than he's in now.
Do you do you think them going 40 minutes was a direct, I would say, kind of shot at what Stevie Richards and Jim Cornette said about Kyle Fletcher in the weeks leading up to this match? Because they said that he's not ready. He doesn't really know what he's doing. He's not learning from the right people. He just does move after move after move after move. Do you felt like they went 40 minutes to kind of prove him wrong and kind of throw it in their face that he is a main event guy because he hung with the champion for 40 minutes?
I don't think that they booked the length of their pay-per-view main event based around what Stevie Richards said.
Okay.
I think if Stevie Richards hadn't said a word, we were still going to get a 38-minute match between these two.
That's fair. I enjoyed the match. I just, as soon as the bell rang, I knew who was going to win, and it kind of sucked me out of it a little bit. I had to watch the match the next day because we went right into WrestlePalooza, and I didn't have time, and I was just way too tired at that point, so I watched it on Sunday morning. So that was all out. And as you see what we've talked about here, going into Dynamite and going into Wrestle Dream, it's going to be a little rocky, folks. So stay tuned, and we got you covered right here, not only on TNT, but on our respective channels. And thank you for a great stream tonight. I know it was a little less than enthusiastic on Thursday than it is on Tuesday, but we'll be back to normal time next week on Tuesday. And we're going to get into your super chats in just a second. Please make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. What happened?
Action Waffle says JD Graham against Evil Sologram.
That'll probably be better than what AEW's got going on right now.
We'll pop a good rating.
Yeah. Make sure you guys get those super chats in. We'll get to you in a second. Please hit that thumbs up. We got 817 likes in. I'd love if we could get to 1,000, or at least as close to 1,000. If you guys want to follow Jason on Twitter and on YouTube, everything you need for him is linked down below. You guys know where to find me. Hit that subscribe button down below. And go check out some of the content I've uploaded lately on the channel. We've been doing some great numbers with the solo content there during the day, so go check that stuff out. Michael Krause, $2 super chat. Thank you, OTS, for the prayers yesterday. We got you, brother. Hopefully you're doing well. Zach with a $9.99. If Triple H was never hurt during the invasion, where do you think he would have fit in at all? Would he be the one that turns face, then heel again days later and side with Stephanie instead of Austin?
I always figured he would have been in the Kurt Angle spot. You know, where he ended up on the other side, but then he's like the mole, and he ends up saving, being part of the savior of Team WWF.
Yeah, I could see that. That sounds like a Triple H thing to do at that time. Boss Mo Jackson with a $1.99, another banger episode of TNT. TNT for life. Thank you, Boss Mo Jackson.
Thank you, man.
Tone C with a 5. I'm attending the Bruce Dickinson concert tonight. Well, enjoy yourself, bro. I don't know how long Bruce Dickinson's got left, but him and Iron Maiden, I think they may be done after next year. Michelle Moran with a $2 super chat. What do you see Punk and Roman doing at Crown Jewel? I don't see Punk doing anything. Roman is on the advertisement and the poster, so I've seen a couple of people on social media pushing for a Roman and Braun Breaker match at the pay-per-view. I would not mind that at all, but I don't know if Triple H is leaning in that direction. What do you think?
Well, we already got Roman and Bronson Reed, so it just feels like that's the inevitable match.
Yep. If it happens, I hope it happens there. That should be a good match there.
Yeah. Battle of the Spears.
Drew Gilmore, 37 months. Thank you, brother. Can't afford to go to SmackDown in Orlando tomorrow, but I will be going to a meet and greet at a wine and spirits store to meet Randy Orton. Well, there you go. You got some WWE action out of it. Duff's Vids with a $1.99. What's a snowman's favorite spice? Chili pepper. Duff's with a $4.99. I started a dating site for chickens. It's not my day job. I just do it to make hens meat. And Duff's with a $4.99. What do you call a woman who sets her credit card bills on fire? Bernadette. That was a good one. I like that one. Thank you, Duffs. We'll see Duffs again in a little bit. Lenin Jimenez with a 20 in Mexican pesos. I'm sick of this Lesnar unstoppable monster bullshit. Well, tell me how you really feel, Lennon. I think everybody feels that same way, honestly. Duffs. We got 3 more Duffs. $4.99 here says, why don't mummies go on vacation? They don't like to unwind. He also says, you know, the first French fry wasn't cooked in France. It was cooked in Greece. That's a good one. And Dust of the 199, they say icy is an easy word to spell. I-C-Y.
Not as good as the French fry one.
No. Thank you, Duffs. Always appreciate Duffs. Boss Mo Jackson with a $1.99 and a $9.99. Your favorite sneaker brand, JD and Solo. I'll let you answer first.
I've had some of each. I've had Nike, I've had Reebok, I've had Adidas, I've had Skechers, I've had Converse, LA Gear back in the day. Remember LA Gear?
Yeah.
I don't know if I have a favorite one. I'd probably go Nike.
Yeah, I like the Nike Retro Low Dunks.
Oh, those are nice.
Yeah, I like those. Thank you, Boss Mo Jackson. He also says with a $9.99, John Cena gets knocked out during a wrestling match. 3 hours later, he wakes up in the hospital. John slowly says, where am I? And the nurse says, the ICU. John Cena says, no, you can't. Duffs, you still trying the comedy thing, huh? I know Sidro ain't here tonight, but we got Duffs for that. Thank you, brother. Major with a $1.99. NL East champions. How about those Phillies? Fuck the Phillies. It's going to be a tough road, man. The Brewers and the Cubs are no pushovers, you know? And the Dodgers. I don't know what happened. I thought the Dodgers, they started hot, and then they kind of slowed down, you know?
Yeah, they faded.
Boss Mo Jackson with a $9.99. I'd like to see Sheamus and AJ have title reigns before retirement. What kind of career you guys see Oba, Trick, Lexus, King, and Ethan Page having once they move to the main roster? Thoughts? Oba is going to be fine. Trick, I honestly don't think Trick is ready for the main roster. There's just something that isn't connecting to me with Trick in the ring. I don't know what it is. Lexus, I like his presentation. Not really into the character. And Ethan Page is going to be fine. He's going to be a great middle-of-the-road IC title level heel. I think that's a perfect spot for him.
Yeah, I mean, the ones I'm not worried about really are Oba and Ethan.
Yeah.
Trick, they've put a lot behind Trick and a lot of time behind him, so he'll get his shot on the main roster probably next year. I don't know if they're going to do a draft, and maybe he gets drafted. Lexus is the one I'm not sure. I'm not sure if he's going to make it. Just in terms of him like making it to the main roster and then succeeding on the main roster. Making it and succeeding on the main roster are two different things. Carmelo Hayes made his way to the main roster, #1 draft pick. Had a lot of high hopes for him, and we're still waiting. We're still hoping. Lexus King, I don't see Lexus King at Carmelo Hayes' level. So I don't know what that means for his future. I don't know.
Crime Unleashed with 3 months and then a 2 in Super Chat. JD, your thoughts on the NXT TNA invasion angle? It's been done before, bro. They didn't do anything that really broke any grounds there. The ending shot with Ricky Saints holding the NXT title on that little podium they have it sitting on, and then Obafemi, who got tossed out of the ring during the match and was still on the outside, and then the camera shot just sees him kind of rising up from the floor, and he grabs the title from Ricky Sainz. I thought that was a great closing spot. I don't know if Ricky Sainz is going to beat Obafemi, but should be an interesting match. I think Ricky loses and then gets called up. I can't see him beating Oba. I don't know what you feel there, but I think it may be. I think Oba holds it at least until Stand and Deliver, maybe. Or maybe I'm wrong and they give it to Ricky Sainz and call Oba up. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, why not give Ricky a run with the belt? And Oba just feels like he's ready for the call up now.
Yeah. Cake with the $2 super chat. Triple H's idea of working the fans is Cena taking the pen. I don't know what the plan was there, bro, but the social media push is the only thing they had to do because Cena's not going to make television until the show. So I'm looking forward to it. Should be a great match. Robbie with a $4.99. What's up, guys? New sponsor idea for WWE's Injured Stars. Injured on the job. Call Morgan and Morgan and put Ilya, Liv, and Gable on the poster.
Morgan and Morgan is one of their sponsors.
Yeah. I've had Morgan and Morgan hit me up for a sponsor on the show. It's just not worth my time. Boss Mo Jax with a $4.99. Imagine being able to trade talent between different promotions like other sports do. Would be interesting. I like to see Rollins versus Omega.
A lot of people would like to see that, but that ain't going to happen. So.
No. Revol with a 2. Asuka, Kyrie, and Io potentially on Marigold soon. Chat said earlier, I think Io was confirmed for an October show, Marigold show.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, against the Mayu Iwatani on October 26th.
There you go.
Though, to go back to that last question, like imagine if these two companies had a good working relationship together, we probably would have gotten Adam Copeland against John Cena on this retirement tour.
Sure. Yeah. Tony probably would have asked it to happen on his show, but
I'm just saying, if they actually had a cordial working relationship together, even in the same vein as like NXT and TNA, you could see some of these matches. You can go back and forth and have one-on-one, company's product, and then a match on Dynamite once. Like in a different dimension, we would be seeing these different matches that people are asking about.
No, bro, they don't want to make money with AEW. They want to put AEW out of business so that they could pay their roster less. That's what they want to do. Revol, thank you, brother. Edmund Van Buren with a $9.99. No message. Thank you, brother. WrestleMess with a $4.99. Vicare's title run should mimic Asuka's NXT run, complete with a win over major stars at WrestleMania. Rhea or Bianca would be the obvious choice. Yeah, I think Vicare's going to hold that championship for a little bit, but we still may be looking at a Rhea versus Vicare title match at WrestleMania. We'll see. He also says, if Jericho is back for Mania, who is his opponent? That's a good question. I see that happening, one. Number two, I don't know. What do you think? Do you care?
No. Not really.
You don't care about Jericho. Nobody does. I think it's going to be interesting to see how he kind of reasserts himself to that show. Cool Jericho with Judas would be a nice way to go about it. Edmund with a $9.99. While I don't think Cena Brock was about making new stars, I do think it was about rehabbing Brock's reputation because, as we all know, the lawsuit is still out there. It is. It's never going to go away until it's over. For Illuminati with a 5, maybe a Roman return, and we get Roman versus Braun at Crown Jewel. Could be.
Roman is done as of, I believe, today, as far as filming, so he could be back as early as next Monday if they want him back then.
Excellent. We need him back. Nate with a 5. I want to add, I think Brock turning purple is a side effect of his diverticulitis that Kenny has, because it only happened post-UFC. People forget that was close to killing him. Or maybe his cardio is just awful. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know if that's necessarily the reason. It could just be that he's a very big guy who gets. I mean, the way he sweats too, it's crazy. Like it could be 3 minutes into the match and he's pouring buckets. So I mean, but it was like that even 10 years ago. really ever since he came back. But he's just a gigantic man. That's a lot of weight to be carrying around, in the ring.
For Illuminati with a 5, how bad would it damage Page to drop the title to Briscoe and have MJF cash in on him?
Pretty badly. Yeah, I would not be doing that.
Yeah, I mean,
it's people like Mark Briscoe. I'm not saying that they wouldn't be happy for him and it would make a nice moment for him, but that would be the wrong move to make.
Yeah. Fiore's Nation with a 499. What's up, JD and Solo? Happy Thursday. Going for an in-person job interview tomorrow after a fine phone call job interview 2 days ago. Wish me luck.
Good luck, brother.
You're going to kill it, man. Let us know how it goes. Also, he says, thoughts on Jasmine Nix being released from WWE. we talked about
she wasn't
about
released.
this in the sound check.
Yeah. She wasn't released. She was presented with a contract offer that financially did not meet to her satisfaction, and so she told them no. And so when her existing contract is over, she will be done.
She will be fine. She will, if she wants to do pro wrestling, WWE, the report said WWE never wanted to, have her walk. They wanted to retain her, so. If she wants pro wrestling, WWE, I'm assuming at some point will be happy to have her back. I didn't really see anything special in her, as other people did, but they already have a replacement in Fatal Influence, so that's that. Furious with a 999. After watching Dynamite last night, I think it's safe to say that Britt Baker is as good as gone from AEW and is going to WWE when her deal is up, and I'm sure she wouldn't cause any issues in WWE. Well, we don't know that for sure.
Yeah, what makes you sure about that?
Let's hold our horses on that one. And Triple H says he's getting a call every single day for 365 days from people who want back in WWE or want to return to the company. I'm sure half of them are Matt Cardona.
He's admitted to it. Look, he was there. He was on NXT this week, so maybe that's the first little foot in the door there.
I don't know why it hasn't happened yet. He looks great. He's fucking great. I don't know. I don't know what they're waiting for. Arcade the Hedgehog with a 5. Hey, JD, about your dislike of the intergender matches. That did kind of work with Chyna and Jarrett for the IC title, but Chyna was jacked to be believed. Chyna looked the part. Like, I'm not a fan of intergender matches. I mentioned Tessa and Sami Callihan today when I talked about the Omega and Gail Kim situation. I'm not a fan of that. Did I enjoy the work that they did in a pro wrestling atmosphere? Yes, because I enjoy Tessa's work as a pro wrestler and I enjoy Sammy's work as a pro wrestler. Do I think, the match is realistic to a point where I'm gonna enjoy it to its fullest extent? No. I understood why they did it. I just like a more believable pro wrestling product. I don't know how Jason feels about that, but I'm not a fan of intergender pro wrestling. I'm not. It's an indie thing. It gets over on the indies. I'm just not a fan of it.
Yeah, I mean, there are situations where it can work. I saw many instances of it on Lucha Underground, for example, where I mentioned EO before. There was a great match that actually was like a gauntlet that Penta, in his Pentagon days. And EO was in that match. And God, who else was that? I think Mayu Iwatani might have been one of them.
Yeah, that was a great I remember that. That was great.
I think Kyrie and EO were both in there, and they were laying their shit in, and it was believable enough.
What were they? The Black Lotus Triad or something like that?
The Black Lotus Triad.
Yeah.
So that was one example. Chelsea Green was in Lucha Underground, and she also, I think, was wrestling men on occasion. It can work, but it can work to me. It's not something I would want to see on a regular basis. If they would have, for example, done something with Rhea and Dominic, I think that could have been very entertaining.
Yeah.
If the situation warrants it, I have no issue with it. If it's done right and you're telling a story and it makes sense to do it, then do it. I'm not against it just like on principle. Oh, we can't have that. Like, I'm not against it, but to do it on a regular basis or to do it in a situation where you have somebody in the ring against someone else and it's just not at all believable, then I wouldn't want to see it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very rare to find that formula that's going to work. Like Jason said, Rhea is a believable opponent against a lot of the guys there, especially someone like Dominic. So something like that works. You just can't do it all the time. Broly with a 199. Mayu versus Io. October 26th. Yes. We just heard that from the chat. Thank you, Broly. Matt Fisher with a $4.99. My friend was showing me his tool shed and pointed to a ladder. That's my step ladder, he said. I never knew my real ladder. Thank you, Matt. I see you're becoming quite the comedian, Matt. You did the same thing last night in my stream, too. Thank you. Hollywood Guy with a 5. Hologram versus El Hologram. Winner becomes a jobber. I don't know. Our Rez is playing the El Clone, so at least we know we got somebody under the mask of Evil Hologram that's going to perform the way he needs to, because our Rez is great.
In WWE, we have the growing family of Americanos, and in AEW, we have Hologram and his evil twin.
Yeah.
So.
Who else do we got here? We got Kyle, $5 super chat. EO has been announced for Marigold. Yes, thank you, Kyle. We know. Matt with a $1.99. Beer mode's finisher should be called Last Call. I don't like a last call because that means at the end of the night. But in that sense, it might work.
What was that? James Storm's finish?
Was it? I don't know. You probably know better than I do.
It might have been.
Philuminati with a 5. I feel like there needs to be a stipulation between Darby and Mox, something that culminates where if Darby wins, the Death Riders are disbanded. Oh, I wish. I hope that's the final match. Edward with a 49 months. Thank you, brother. Thursday Night Titans still feels like the good old TNT with you both, JD and Solo. Always a pleasure to listen to TNT any day of the week. Thank you, brother. We'll be back on Tuesday. Lenin, 20 Mexican pesos. He wants us to sing the Tarzan Boy song. No. I did that last night, actually. You can go back and watch my stream last night. Edward Lou with a $9.99. Difference between AEW WWE is like Ravens and Bills game in week 1. AEW Bills over Ravens 41-40. WWE Bills come from 15 points down in the final 4 minutes to win. AEW has action, sure, but WWE includes more story. That's a good way to put it if you guys are fans of the NFL or the Bills or the Ravens. Blue Jay with a $1.99. Let's get a Gypsy Joe versus Lesnar match. How about a zero cell match? Was Gypsy Joe one of those guys that Edge came across in the open of Allin or All Out?
No, I mean Gypsy Joe. There's a famous video of Gypsy Joe and was it New Jack? I think on the indie scene. Gypsy Joe would not always sell for his opponent. And yeah, he could take a beating, and he definitely got one. And that's kind of an infamous video that's out there.
Jay Barker with a 5. Mayu versus Io, official for Marigold. Man, I didn't know that. Thank you, Jay. Appreciate that, bro. Will I watch it? I don't know. Where could I watch it? Somebody fill me in. Revol with a 2. Yes, we understand Io is going to Marigold. Revol, thank you. October 26th, if you guys don't know. Alex with a 20. Brother JD and Solo, can't believe I'm saying this, but do you think WWE will treat Mania 42 as filler and fully focus on Mania in Saudi? Also, if we do get Cody versus Rock, do you see them beginning the storyline next year in 26? For the amount of tickets that they're charging for the combo pair, they better not treat it as filler, because if you're paying $32,000 to sit front row, you better be getting the fucking best card of all time.
$32,000 for a filler. That'll go over well.
I was going to ask you on social media, bro, but I refrained because I knew you'd give me some sarcastic bullshit answer. Did you want to go to WrestleMania, man? I'll spot us 2 tickets.
You know what? Enjoy the show. It's all you.
Thank you, Alex.
Vegas is a lot more than just the price of the tickets, as you well know.
That's a $100,000 vacation right there.
Yes.
As far as Cody and Rock, if they do it, it's got to happen in Saudi. If it's going to be Rock wrestling, if that's the rumor, it's either Rock Roman or Rock Cody. I'm going Rock Cody. I don't know when they build the story, but let him finish his movie commitments. WrestleMess with a $1.99. We're missing out on a Cody Drew Randy triple threat. Maybe
that's the Survivor Series match.
Maybe. Tactical Dish Soap with a 10. Fatal 4-Way match. Santino's Cobra versus Mr. Iguana's Iguana versus Demonito versus Mr. Sacco. Who do you got? Oh, man. I'm going Mr. Sacco.
I can't believe we're actually answering this question in a serious way. Yeah, I mean, I'll go with Mr. Sacco. Well, Mr. Sacco has put down some of the biggest names in wrestling. So I can't vote against Mr. Sacco.
Lennon, 50 in Mexican pesos. 100% agree with Jason. Cena should be selfish in his last year. In a few years, he's going to regret having put Lesnar over like Undertaker. Now regrets it. Yeah, Undertaker came out and said that he had no choice in the matter for the streak ending. Of course he did.
Well, yeah, he said that before. It wasn't his choice. And he's another one. But he's another one where, if he really put his foot down and really fought harder against it, maybe he could have changed some minds. But
maybe.
The old man was very stubborn.
That streak should have never ended. More with a 5. Hi, JD Solo. I really wish you were as level-headed and calm as you are with your AEW takes on Wednesday like you are now, because I know you mean well. Yeah. The reason why this show was even born with Baydala was because it was to get me in a more calm environment in a discussion-like space, and we're keeping that vibe here. There's no reason for me to yell here. I hope I give you the same opinion that I give you on Wednesdays here on either Tuesday or Thursdays when we have the show, but in a more calm and debatable way. Hey, I'm always going to let you guys know how I feel. It is what it is. We're not supposed to have the same opinion on things at all. Sometimes it's good. BC24 with the $4.99. Your cameo with my wife about our occupational therapy business made our day. Ollie and Luna say thank you. Cheers, bro. Happy to accommodate, my friend. I'm glad the wife enjoyed it. Corey Williams with 37 months. I'm tired of the WWE Wrestling, AEW Wrestling counter programming, even though it's not going to stop anytime soon. For the time being, at least this year, bro, we got no counter programming. Next year, I can't tell you. Hunter's Hybrid with a 2. Hit the fucking like button. Much love, fellas. Yes. 100 more likes for 1,000, chat. Duff's Vids with a 199. Why do cows wear bells? Their horns don't work. MGM 199. How did you guys hear about EO? Did you guys hear about EO and Marigold? Yeah.
Do you remember where you were when you heard the news, JD? Because I do.
Yes. I know where we were. Alex with a 5. I know Bound for Glory lands on the same weekend as Crown Jewel. Any chance you guys go live for both, or will you do? No, I'm not going live for that, bro. Jason may talk about it on the sound off, but I'm not going to talk about it. No, I may actually order it just to see Santana win the world championship because we're big fans of Santana, but I'm not going to review the show now. And Lennon with a $20 super chat. Where you guys are where EO is going to Marigold on October 26th. Yes. We had no idea. Thank you guys for hanging out with us tonight on this rare Thursday evening for TNT 113. Great show, great discussion. Hopefully you guys got what you want out of us this week as far as the WrestlePalooza and All Out stuff and everything else that kind of floated around those two shows and all the news that came out of it. But thank you guys, man. We'll be back on Tuesday, normal time, right here for episode 114. And as always, I'll leave it up to Jason to sound us off for another great week of TNT.
Well, Kenan Thompson of SNL fame is, I believe, one of the producers on an upcoming movie they are making on Macho Man Randy Savage.
I saw that.
So that is the movie that I will be seated for when it comes out, because Macho Man he's the perfect movie character. So,
he is. It's going to be very imperative who they get to play Macho Man Randy Savage. I don't know who that could be, though.
Well, I'll tell you what, the best Randy Savage impression that I've heard has probably come from, he's a comedian named Dan Soder. He does a tremendous Savage impersonation. And Will Sasso, I think, does too. But Soder's is, I don't know about him as an actor, but just in terms of like impersonations, that's probably tops for me, as far as Savage.
It's going to be interesting. And make sure you guys, if you guys are interested, Smashing Machine comes on October 3rd, man. I'm very interested in this movie coming out in a week or so. So thank you guys for a great night of TNT. We'll be back next week, as always, here for episode 114. Follow us on social media at JD from NY206, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Cameo. Follow Jason on social media and on YouTube. Everything you need is linked down in the description for him. And please make sure you guys hit that thumbs up and leave a comment down below. Helps us out in the algorithm. And like I said, next week, Tuesday night, 8:30, episode 114 of TNT. See you guys there.